Chapter 594, The Last Test. Chapter 594, The Last Test. It's been many years since we met last. How are you? Jian Wushuang asked in a toneless voice. Jian Wushuang, it hasn't been that long. You're already back from the Divine Land? Jinling responded with a hint of surprise. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. He had not only returned from the Divine Land, he had even traveled to the Monster Continent. I come to take the third test, Jian Wushuang said. There were 3 tests in the Ancestors' Land, and he had passed the second test before he left the Nanyang continent, so only the third test remained. The third test is difficult, but looking at you, you're pretty confident, right? Jinling stared at Jian Wushuang curiously. A little bit. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. He was now even stronger than Sword Ancestor, who had been at his peak. Therefore, he was capable of passing all the tests Sword Ancestor left. Follow me. Jinling and Mu Shan led the way, quickly arriving at the deepest part of the Ancestors' Land. A fathomless long tunnel appeared in front of Jian Wushuang, with a lilac restriction covering its entrance. This restriction was extraordinarily powerful. Anyone that wanted to enter the tunnel had to break it. This tunnel is connected to the real core of the Ancestors' Land, where Sword Ancestor left his things. Jinling said, As for the third test, it should be this restriction, but I'm not sure about it. After all, Mu Shan and I are unable to enter this tunnel, so we don't know if there are other tests inside. Really? Jian Wushuang frowned as he looked over at the lilac restriction. He started to approach it. Jian Wushuang, this restriction is quite powerful. It has an amazing defensive and offensive power. You should be careful. Jinling, who was still in the process of speaking, was suddenly stunned. Mu Shan was also petrified. They watched as Jian Wushuang casually punched the restriction. As for the result, the powerful restriction instantly collapsed in front of their eyes. He smashed the restriction with a casual punch. Is it really that easy? Both Jinling and Mu Shan cried in shock. As far as they knew, if an expert wanted to break the restriction, he had to at least reach the sovereign level. Sovereigns were supreme experts in the Divine Land. Jian Wushuang must be stronger than a sovereign since he broke the restriction with a single punch. It's amazing for Jian Wushuang to have made such rapid progress in such a short period of time. So fast. Jinling could not hold back her surprise. They had witnessed Jian Wushuang grow up step by step. When he initially arrived here, Jian Wushuang was so weak that he was not even qualified to do the first test. Now, after a dozen years had passed, his strength had reached an incredible level. The third test is a piece of cake, Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. He had narrowly escaped death when he was taking the first and second test. However, it was too easy for him to pass the third test. What will you do? Wait for me or go inside with me? Jian Wushuang turned to look at the 2 puppet fighters. We'll stay here and wait for you, Jinling replied. Jian Wushuang shrugged his shoulders and walked inside. The dark tunnel was not long, so it wasn't long before a shabby secret chamber came into view. Jian Wushuang stepped into the secret chamber and immediately saw 2 tokens on the table in the front of the chamber. Other than the 2 tokens, there was nothing in there. Jian Wushuang approached while observing the tokens. The first one was a gold token, which radiated magic power in waves. It looked very mysterious in his eyes. 2 gilded words were carved on it. Ancient World. The Ancient World token. Jian Wushuang immediately understood. Emperor Shao had said that the Sword Ancestor had prepared an Ancient World token for him. It should be this one. This is the Ancient World token. Jian Wushuang picked up the gold token and studied it for a while, but he could not figure it out. All he knew was that the power surrounding the token was similar to space waves. Countless skyscraping realm experts All desire this ancient world token. Jian Wushuang sighed while shaking his head. Because of it, the sword ancestor had been hunted by so many skyscraping realm experts and eventually died. Now, Jian Wushuang had received this ancient world token that the sword ancestor left. It could be said that the sword ancestor sacrificed himself to give the young man an opportunity. Jian Wushuang put this ancient world token into his interspatial ring and then looked at the second token. It was an ordinary message token. Jian Wushuang smashed it, and a message came out. "I'm Jianchen." Jian Wushuang was a bit surprised, but he immediately realized that this token contained some information sword ancestor left. Jian Wushuang began, listening carefully. "I was born aloof and proud, so I would rather die than surrender to my enemies. I accidentally received an ancient world token, but the news leaked out, causing numerous skyscraping realm experts to chase. Haha, they wanted me to hand over the ancient world token. However, I'd rather die or destroy the ancient world token than give it to them." Sword ancestor told his story and left several words for his descendants. He really was quite stubborn. Jian Wushuang said to himself. Sword ancestor mentioned that he was too obstinate, even when he was seriously injured and unable to fight back against the numerous skyscraping realm experts. He would rather destroy the ancient world token than hand it over. As a result, he was killed by those skyscraping realm experts. If he had not been so stubborn, he would not have been killed. That's his nature. Jian Wushuang sighed as he shook his head. Sword ancestor, don't worry. As for those people who murdered you, I'll kill them all. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, slightly bowed to space in front of him, and then left. Chapter 595, Marquis Lanue. Chapter 595, Marquis Lanue. Jian Wushuang left the ancestors' land after obtaining the ancient world token. Next, it's time to go to the divine land. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. However, there were no wormholes connecting the Nanyang continent to the divine land, so Jian Wushuang had to travel there on foot. The first time he went, it had taken him a year to travel to the divine land. He was weak at that time, so he walked slowly, not to mention that practicing on his way to the divine land had also delayed him. But now he had become much more powerful. It only took him several days to arrive at the divine land. There was an exquisite pavilion named the Heaven's Secret Pavilion. It had a good reputation in the divine land because it was said that 4 marquises and a sovereign guarded it. The Heaven's Secret Pavilion was known for being the #1 intelligence organization. In a secret chamber of the Heaven's Secret Pavilion, a black-robed elder respectfully handed Jian Wushuang a pile of documents that were filled with information. "Sir, this is what you need." Jian Wushuang paid with raw gems and then flipped through it by himself. It provided detailed information about what had happened in the divine land during the period while he was gone, including the rise and fall of experts. It also contained some information on the 3 ancestors. Jian Wushuang kept reading. The greatest change in the divine land was that a 4th ancestor appeared. It was Su Ming. Su Ming had fought with Blind Emperor. As a result, he made a breakthrough to the skyscraping realm at a critical moment and killed Blind Emperor. Since he had reached the skyscraping realm, he was qualified to become an ancestor. He should have been named Sword Ancestor, but there had been a Sword Ancestor in the divine land, so Su Ming had to use another title, Sword Demon. Currently, the 4 ancestors were the Holy Ancestor, the Spirit Ancestor, the Stone Ancestor, and the Demon Ancestor. They were the topmost existences in the divine land. The number of sovereigns had also lessened to 8 because of Su Ming's promotion. Some small changes had occurred among the marquises while Jian Wushuang was away, but there were still 72 marquises in the divine land. Jian Wushuang glanced through the information about the marquises, but he did not pay them any mind until he came across a name that amazed him, Marquis Lanue. Marquis Langyue. Jian Wushuang carefully read her information. After a while, a meaningful smile grew on his face. That little girl has grown a lot over the last few years. On a magnificent mountain range stood a towering mansion, which was the residence of Marquis Langyue, one of the 72 marquises. As a peerless genius, she had rapidly risen to become a marquis over the last few years. It was said that Marquis Langyue was just 30 years old. She had amazing talent when she was a child, but she had been afflicted by witch poison for several years. Ever since she had been detoxified, her talent had started to recover and she had improved at an unbelievable speed. Currently, she had made a breakthrough from a Saint Realm expert to a famous marquis. On the empty ground of this mansion, a cyan-dressed lady was practicing her swordsmanship alone. She looked gorgeous, possessing both a heroic spirit and a sexy figure while radiating a peerless charm. However, the sword moves she displayed were swift and powerful. Each sword shadow she launched was as fast as lightning and strong enough to kill an ordinary lord. This cyan-dressed lady was Marquis Langyue. Shua! The cold streak of sword light lashed out and pierced the air before her, causing sword essence waves to spread out. Nice. A toneless voice came from nearby. Marquis Langyue was a bit surprised as she looked over at the source. When she saw the black-robed youth with a long sword on his back staring at her, her pretty eyes suddenly bulged wide. "Master!" Marquis Langyue cried out, looking surprised and delighted. "You've already become a marquis, but you still remember me?" Jian Wushuang replied with a faint smile. Marquis Langyue quickly walked over. "Master, I pay my respects to you." Marquis Langyue knelt down and bowed to her master with respect. She was Lin Lan. Jian Wushuang had accepted her as his disciple right after arriving at the Divine Land. At that time, Jian Wushuang had used the heavenly creation skill to refine her witch poison, allowing Lin Lan the ability to start a new life. Then he had helped Lin Lan break off the engagement with the Luo family. Those things were engraved in her mind. Although she was a marquis and had a high status in the Divine Land, she had never forgotten her master who had helped her so much. After all, her master changed her fate. "Get up." Jian Wushuang gestured to his disciple before Lin Lan stood up. "When I left, you had just barely made it to the Saint Realm, but now you've reached this level during the last few years. It's brilliant," Jian Wushuang acclaimed. He marveled at his disciple's achievement. Lin Lan responded with modesty. "All my achievements are because of you, Master. I just helped you clear the witch poison. As for what you've achieved, it's because of your own ability. It's none of my business." Jian Wushuang shook his head and continued. "I've seen you practicing your swordsmanship. You're good. Master, thanks for your compliments. That's swordsmanship." Lin Lan had not finished her words yet. "Little Lan." A cry was heard. Then a red-haired man slowly walked over. "Dear, come here." Lin Lan instantly went to pull her husband toward her master. "Dear, this is my master, the one I've mentioned a lot to you." Chapter 596, Zizhong. Chapter 596, Zizhong. Your master. Upon hearing this, the red-haired man glanced at the young man. "You are swordsman," the red-haired man said in a flat, toneless voice. "My wife has talked about you. You helped her when she was afflicted by the witch poison, so she owed you a debt of gratitude. Since you've come..." The red-haired man took out an interspatial ring and handed it to the young man. "There are many treasures inside it, which is equivalent to the possessions of a superior lord. That's my reward for your kindness." Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang frowned, but he did not accept it. "Dear," Lin Lan shot her husband a disgruntled look, then said, "Master just came to visit me. He didn't come to ask me for treasures. What are you doing? Stop talking." Master helped me and gave me a new life, which can't be paid for with treasures. Really? The red-haired man replied as he threw a disdainful glance at Jian Wushuang. In the red-haired man's eyes, Jian Wushuang would not have paid a visit if he had not wanted something from them. He had seen too many people like this. He knew that his wife should pay a reward to her master, but things would be different if her master took the initiative and asked for something in return. The red-haired man also learned about how Jian Wushuang helped his wife. In his judgment, Jian Wushuang was probably a Saint Realm expert who was at stage 2 or stage 3 at that time. Therefore, he did not put Jian Wushuang in his eyes. He thought that all the possessions of a superior lord would be a pretty penny for Jian Wushuang, and that it was enough to show his appreciation. Jian Wushuang was annoyed and amused when he saw the red-haired man's expression. He had intended to see whether his disciple was well, but he was treated as a beggar by her husband. "Disciple, this is your husband?" Jian Wushuang asked with a meaningful smile. "Yes, he is Gaiyang." Lin Lan responded awkwardly. "Marquis Gaiyang." Jian Wushuang was a bit surprised. He had heard about him as one of the 72 marquises. Marquis Gaiyang was irritable and straightforward. He had lived in this world for a long time and experienced a lot, so he thought less of Jian Wushuang. "Marquis Gaiyang, take back your interspatial ring." Jian Wushuang spoke. "What? It's not enough?" Marquis Gaiyang asked. Jian Wushuang forced a smile. If he had not noticed Lin Lan's imploring look, he would have given Marquis Gaiyang a slap. At this point, "Gaiyang, Lanwei," a resonant voice reverberated. Marquis Gaiyang looked up to the sky. They said, "Little Lan, my friend, is here. Let's go to greet him." "Okay." Marquis Lanwei knew this friend and did not dare to take it lightly. "Master, please wait for a moment," she said to her master. "Go ahead." Jian Wushuang waved his hand. "Little Lan, hurry up. Don't let him wait long." Marquis Gaiyang urged his wife. Marquis Gaiyang and Lin Lan glided away. After a while, Jian Wushuang saw them slowly approaching with a muscular, purple-robed man. When he saw the purple-robed man clearly, Jian Wushuang's expression became a bit odd. "Is it him? Unbelievable. Now, things are getting interesting," Jian Wushuang thought with a meaningful smile. In the sky, Marquis Gaiyang and Lin Lan walked side by side. "Bro Zizhong, it's all thanks to you. Because of you, my wife and I will be able to go to the Holy Ancestor Feast. Now that you've come here, we will definitely treat you well. Gaiyang, we have been friends for many years." "Such a little thing is not worth mentioning," the purple-robed man said with a faint smile. "But speaking of this Holy Ancestor Feast, many experts will attend it, and even some super experts outside of the Divine Land have been invited, so we're lucky to get a look at the super experts in the party." Right. "The Holy Ancestor Feast is the greatest feast in our Divine Land," Marquis Gaiyang proclaimed. Lin Lan quietly listened to their conversation. The three of them quickly flew into the mansion. The moment they landed on the ground, the purple-robed man immediately recognized Jian Wushuang. He was stunned. He stopped as he widened his eyes, staring at the black-robed youth. An unprecedented terror struck his heart. "Brother Zizhong, what happened?" Marquis Gaiyang and Lin Lan looked over at the purple-robed man with a puzzled expression. It's you!" the purple-robed man murmured while pointing at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang also considered him with a grim smile. "Marquis Zizhong, long time no see. You're still looking well." Marquis Zizhong. Su Ming had sent Marquis Zizhong to kill Jian Wushuang. Although Jian Wushuang had been much weaker than he was now, Marquis Zizhong had still been unable to dispatch him. As a result, Marquis Zizhong had been forced to retreat and was almost killed by Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang did not expect to bump into Marquis Zizhong at his disciple's mansion. There was a big grudge between them. "Jian Wushuang." The grim-faced Marquis Zizhong fixed his eyes on Jian Wushuang as he perceived the Cloud Realm aura on this young man. He has made a breakthrough. Marquis Zizhong was rocked. Even when he was in the Saint Realm, Jian Wushuang had been able to repel him, so he must be even more powerful now after the breakthrough. Run. Marquis Zizhong escaped without hesitation, ignoring Marquis Gaiyang and Linlan. Hee, since you're here, why are you in a hurry to leave? Jian Wushuang's cold laughter resounded through the area. Chapter 597, The Bone Fusion Technique. Chapter 597, The Bone Fusion Technique. Hee, since you're here, why are you in a hurry to leave? Marquis Zizhong immediately perceived a surge of unprecedented killing intent sweeping toward him. Marquis Zizhong came to a halt as his eyes bulging wide with fear, and he found himself wet with sweat. At this point, he felt like he would fall into the abyss if he took another step forward. Hum! Jian Wushuang snorted. His voice smashed into Marquis Zizhong like a hammer, causing the latter to spit out a mouthful of blood as he started to fall. Marquis Zizhong fell on the ground and knelt with an extremely pale look. Then he raised his head while staring at Jian Wushuang in terror. He knew Jian Wushuang had reached the Cloud Realm and that he was unable to match him, but he did not expect that his strength had improved to such an unbelievable level. The young man's killing intent was strong enough to make an 8-cloud realm marquis unable to resist. He did not know that Jian Wushuang had used his aura to suppress and defeat Fire Ghost, who ranked first among the 72 marquises, let alone him. Sir, please have mercy. Marquis Zizhong implored him, ignoring his own face. Upon seeing this, Marquis Gaiyang and Linlan were petrified. What did they just witness? Marquis Zizhong begged for mercy. Master, Linlan looked over at Jian Wushuang in excitement. Your master, Marquis Gaiyang was struck dumb. He had thought Jian Wushuang paid a visit to them because Linlan had become a marquis, but now Jian Wushuang paid no attention to this couple. He threw an icy stare at Marquis Zizhong. Zizhong, honestly answer my questions. If I'm in a good mood, I might let you go. Okay, I'll tell you what I know. Marquis Zizhong was as obsequious as a dog. He was clear that his life was in Jian Wushuang's hands. You followed Su Ming. Do you know where he is? Jian Wushuang asked. The intelligence documents he received did not mention where Su Ming had gone after he became the demon ancestor. Master Su Ming left for other plane worlds. As for his destination, I don't know that either, Marquis Zizhong replied. Left? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. The reason why he returned to the Divine Land was to take revenge. There was no doubt that Su Ming was the enemy he hated the most. He did not expect that Su Ming had left the Divine Land. I've got a problem. Jian Wushuang was deep in thought. There are countless plane worlds in the ancient world. Who knows where he is? I'm afraid that I will have to spend more time and energy to find him if I want to have my revenge. He shook his head, saying, You just mentioned the Holy Ancestor Feast. What is that? The Holy Ancestor Feast is an ordinary party the Holy Ancestor hosts, Marquis Zizhong answered. It's being held to celebrate the Holy Ancestor's 2000th birthday. Many experts from the Divine Land will attend it, and it's said that even a few supreme experts from the outside worlds will come. Oh, Jian Wushuang was intrigued. In that case, I won't have to look for those supreme experts one by one. This will save me some time. Jian Wushuang looked over at Marquis Zizhong while asking, Can I go to the Holy Ancestor Feast? Yes, of course. Marquis Zizhong shook his head. Sir, I'll arrange it for you if you'd like to go there. Okay, if you do that for me, then we will have a clean slate. However, if you try to play some tricks, you'll die without a doubt. You know that no one in the entire Divine Land is able to prevent me from killing you, Jian Wushuang warned. I won't dare to. Marquis Zizhong, who had already been terrified by the young man's strength, immediately left to deal with it. Lanner. Jian Wushuang addressed Lin Lan. Master. Lin Lan responded excitedly, while her husband stood respectfully beside her. I need you to prepare something, Jian Wushuang whispered in her ear. After she was clear about her task, Lin Lan was stupefied. Go ahead. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Lin Lan took a deep breath and then left to carry out the order. Jian Wushuang stood alone with his hands behind his back as he looked up at the sky, a blade-like smile growing on his face. 2000th birthday. He has lived so long. I guess it's about time for him to die. The Holy Ancestor Feast would begin in 3 days, so Jian Wushuang had remained in the Lin Lan's mansion during this period of time. Marquis Gaiang had treated Jian Wushuang with respect ever since he discovered the real strength of the young man. During those days, Jian Wushuang had been trying his best to improve himself, aside from he occasionally giving some guidance to his disciple. He had just made a breakthrough, so there was plenty of room for improvement. He had reached level 10 of the bone fusion technique before the breakthrough. Now, as he had made it to the 9-cloud realm, it was possible for him to reach level 11 and 12 with his superb body. It went smoothly. He had mastered the last 2 levels within 3 days. No one had reached level 12 in the history of the monster continent, but Jian Wushuang easily succeeded. What a pity! My body has reached its limit. Although I've mastered level 11 and 12, it only helped me enhance body strength, so my body hasn't become any stronger. Chapter 598, Holy Ancestor Feast. Chapter 598, Holy Ancestor Feast. Jian Wushuang sighed in private. Flying to the 9th heaven was about reaching a flawless level in every aspect. As his body had now reached a flawless condition, he had to wait for a special chance to enhance the defense of his body, which is to say, even if he could reach the 11th and 12th level at this moment, it would only increase his physical strength, not his body's defense. The Holy Ancestor Feast began. Holy Ancestor was a supreme being in the divine land, so no one would refuse to join the feast he held to celebrate his 2000th birthday. Among the 3 ancestors, except Su Ming, who was in other plane worlds and could not be there, both Spirit Ancestor and Stone Ancestor were present at the feast. The other skyscraping realm experts also attended it. Dong Ming King and Qian Xingzi, who had participated in exterminating Sword Ancestor and forced Jian Wushuang away from the Divine Land, were there for the feast as well. Following them were the 8 sovereigns and the considerably powerful marquises. In short, the feast was of the highest level in the Divine Land. During the feast, all the experts gathered at a large martial arts practice field. Holy Ancestor sat at the top of the field in his white robe. He looked holy while basking in the sun, beaming with joy. Ladies and gentlemen, I've traveled around the purple jade continent only to gain the purple jade wine at any cost. I've never tasted any wine better than it. Now, fill up your cup and drink with me, Holy Ancestor said and held up his cup as his voice echoed throughout the field. Spirit Ancestor, Stone Ancestor, Dong Ming King, and Qian Xingzi, who sat beside him on both sides, all held up their cups. Those experts in skyscraping realm talked to each other. They had their own social circuit, which was also true for the sovereigns and marquises. The combination of the marquises and the Holy Ancestors' core disciples who were at the feast numbered in the hundreds. Among the crowd, Jian Wushuang hid his aura with his aura restraint skill and used a bamboo hat to conceal his face. Therefore, no one noticed him. Beside Jian Wushuang, Lin Lan, Marquis Zizhong, and Marquis Gaiang all sat perfectly straight at the long table. They looked at ease and even talked to other with a smile sometimes. But in fact, they were quite nervous. They all knew Jian Wushuang's intentions, and in their opinion, it was a crazy idea. Those who should be present are all here. Jian Wushuang looked up at the top of the field where over 8 skyscraping realm experts Saturday. Among them were the 3 ancestors and 5 experts from other plane worlds. Outside of Spirit Ancestor, the other 7 people are my enemies. Jian Wushuang pondered. He had confirmed that Spirit Ancestor was not among the murderers of Sword Ancestor. He even learned that Spirit Ancestor used to get along well with Sword Ancestor. Moreover, Spirit Ancestor had protected Sword Marquis Mansion from being destroyed. He never even tried to force Jian Wushuang to speak about the location of Sword Ancestor's cave mansion. Therefore, Jian Wushuang regarded this ancestor as his benefactor. However, the other 7 people had been involved in both events. 5 of them are at level 1 of the skyscraping realm, while the other 2, Holy Ancestor and Dongming King, are at level 2. I'm strong enough to kill them all with my current power. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. A person's power differed in the skyscraping realm, so they were divided into 3 levels. Level 1 referred to the normal skyscraping realm. Most of the experts were at this level, like Bloodblades Man, who Jian Wushuang had killed, and most of the human temple masters. Level 2 referred to the superior skyscraping realm. Most people at this level had comprehended a Tao to a certain level and possessed some powerful skills. Temple Master Iceberg was at this level when Jian Wushuang killed him. As for level 3, only top experts could reach this level. They were excellent in comprehending the Tao and extremely powerful. The 3 monster emperors of Monster Continent, Temple Master Black Spirit, and Sword Ancestor were at this level. Normally, it was easy for those at level 3 to overpower those at level 2. The reason why Sword Ancestor had been killed by the dozens of experts at level 1 and 2 was because, before fighting with them, he had gotten seriously injured in the fight for the Ancient World token. However, he had been so powerful that even after his death, his murderers still did not get the token. Jian Wushuang believed himself to be a little more powerful than Sword Ancestor because he had reached the 9-cloud realm and had strongest sword soul, along with many secret skills. He was among the stronger ones at level 3. With such power, it was easy for him to kill 7 enemies in the level 1 and 2 range. Lanner. Jian Wushuang shot Lin Lan a meaningful glance. Lin Lan immediately stood up and walked to the center of the field. The drinking and chatting experts looked up curiously when saw Lin Lan's action. Marquis Lanyua, what's the matter? An expert asked her with a frown. Lin Lan did not answer him, but looked up at Holy Ancestor. Holy Ancestor. Lin Lan called out, and her voice echoed throughout the field. Holy Ancestor, and the other experts sitting beside him immediately looked down at her. I came across a treasure by luck, but it's useless to me. Please allow me to present it to you as a birthday gift, Lin Lan said solemnly. Chapter 599, Jian Wushuang's Revenge. Chapter 599, Jian Wushuang's Revenge. Oh! Holy Ancestor and the other experts all smiled upon hearing Lin Lan's words. They were surprised to know that she just wanted to present a gift. Your honors, look. Lin Lan managed to stay calm. She waved her hand, and a coffin made of amethyst immediately appeared before everyone's eyes. Yes, the gift was a coffin. After seeing the coffin, Holy Ancestor's smile froze on his face. The whole place became dead silent. Lin Lan continued, I personally selected this gift for you, Your Excellency. It is made of refined amethysts and can prevent your body from decaying for 1,000 years. I'm sure you will be comfortable in it after your death. Holy Ancestor looked grim as he listened to these words. The other experts all looked at Lin Lan in astonishment. The coffin might be a treasure in a manner of speaking, but it should never be given as a birthday gift. Bastard! Fury got the better of Holy Ancestor, and with a pat, he smashed the table in front of him to dust. Right at this moment, Jian Wushuang suddenly took off his bamboo hat and stood up from his seat, with a long sword on his back. He walked slowly to the center of the field. While speaking, "Holy Ancestor, it seems that you are unsatisfied with my disciple's gift. Don't be greedy. The others won't be so lucky as to receive such a nice gift," he continued. As the sound of his voice came to an end, he had moved into the center of the field. A moment later, he raised up his head and released an overwhelming killing intent that dominated the whole area like a dragon flying in the sky. The place fell into dead silence again. The atmosphere became frigid. The fine wine, food, and objects on the tables were crushed into pieces under this killing intent, and water drops kept flying in all directions. The feast looked more like a funeral at that moment because of the depressing atmosphere. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Jian Wushuang. Holy Ancestor, Stone Ancestor, Dongming King, and Qian Xingzi all gazed at him from their seats. Their eyes narrowed when Jian Wushuang revealed his face. "Jian Wushuang!" Holy Ancestor roared in an icy voice. Stone Ancestor and the others beside him, however, looked excited. "It's him. He knows where Sword Ancestor's cave mansion is. Finally, he showed up. Haha, boy, tell me the location of Sword Ancestor's mansion, and I'll spare your life." Those skyscraping realm experts all looked at Jian Wushuang with eager eyes, except Spirit Ancestor. His eyes betrayed his complicated feelings. Jian Wushuang smiled at them coldly. Those men are still coveting Sword Ancestor's mansion and ancient world token even while at death's door. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He had the heart-killing sword in hand, and behind him, the golden sword soul phantom rose up high to its limit. The phantom radiated a domineering and supreme sword essence that made the onlookers' hearts skip a beat. The ancestors' eyes became sharp. They could tell that Jian Wushuang was a lot more powerful than before. Holy Ancestor, Stone Ancestor, Dongming King, Qian Xingzi, Jian Wushuang called their names out one by one. "Do you still remember what I said last time on the outskirts of Sword Suppression Valley?" After being asked, the ancestors could not help recalling what had happened in the valley. In fact, they never forgot this boy's words, the words that the poor boy had been forced to say by a dozen skyscraping realm experts. "I'll never forget what you've done today, as well as how I was suppressed. Someday when I come back, no matter if you're in heaven or hell, I'll kill you all. Wait for me." Those words had indeed felt threatening at the time, but as time passed they stopped taking it seriously. Now, Jian Wushuang really had come back for them. He can't change anything now that he's come back. He must have progressed a little during the last year. The ancestors still looked down on Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang looked at them emotionlessly as his killing intent reached its peak. "I always achieve what I've said. So, today, since we are having a feast, I'll make your heads a cup and treat your blood as the wine. All of you must die." Jian Wushuang spoke firmly, as if he was pronouncing their deaths. His voice echoed in the place for a long time. How arrogant! With the shout, a short man dived forward from his table. The man was called Qian Xingzi, one of the 5 experts from the other plane worlds. "Boy, let's see if your power matches your arrogance." Qian Xingzi was surrounded by killing intent as he took out a purple longsword from somewhere. Then he neared Jian Wushuang and thrust the longsword forward as well. The entire space was filled with a purple light. Qian Xingzi launched a single blow, but there seemed to be thousands of sword shadows rushing towards Jian Wushuang. Seeing this, Holy Ancestor hurriedly shouted, "Qian Xingzi, be careful. Don't kill him." "I know." Qian Xingzi looked grim. Though he was targeting Jian Wushuang's chest, he had restrained his power for fear of killing Jian Wushuang on spot. Why hasn't this boy make a move yet? Is he paralyzed? Qian Xingzi was amazed to see Jian Wushuang standing still while he was about to have a long sword pierce into his body. However, at the very next moment, Jian Wushuang moved. He simply swung his sword at Qian Xingzi without any skill. Chapter 600 Sweeping Away the Enemies. Chapter 600 Sweeping Away the Enemies. There was an amazing power behind Jian Wushuang's casual strike, which finally collided with Qian Xingzi's sword. Clang! When the two swords met, the sound of metal on metal echoed throughout the area as Qian Xingzi's sword became covered with cracks. What? Qian Xingzi was astonished by the cracks on his sword. His sword was a Dao weapon. How could it be cracked by Jian Wushuang's sword? As the cracks on the sword became wider, a sudden shattering sound dumbfounded him. The sword was split into two pieces. Qian Xingzi could not believe what had happened. How could that be possible? He was so astonished that he could not even think. Impossible. Holy Ancestor, Stone Ancestor, and the others all widened their eyes at the scene as they felt a chill rising in their hearts. After breaking Qian Xingzi's sword, Jian Wushuang continued moving forward to slash at him with all his power. Qian Xingzi was unable to dodge the blow and saw a flash of sword light before he was cut into two parts as well, with his organs scattering onto the ground and his blood covering the floor. Qian Xingzi, you're only my second target. Jian Wushuang glared at the dead body indifferently. His first target, Blood Blades Man, had been killed already. After killing Qian Xingzi, Jian Wushuang looked toward Holy Ancestor and Stone Ancestor. Those two ancestors showed a grave expression while being watched. Jian Wushuang's weapon has to be extremely powerful to break Qian Xingzi's Dao weapon and kill him. He just demonstrated the power of an expert at level 3 of the skyscraping realm. Level 3. The onlookers could tell that Jian Wushuang was at a level as powerful as Sword Ancestor. They had all witnessed how mighty Sword Ancestor was, so in order to kill him, they had joined hands with dozens of experts. Now, Qian Xingzi's death left them with only 6 experts in total. Therefore, it was impossible for them to defeat Jian Wushuang with the remaining experts. Holy Ancestor, what should we do now? Stone Ancestor asked him in a low voice. It seems that we have no other choice but to escape from here, Holy Ancestor said unwillingly. They were unwilling to accept that the boy they had despised had grown so powerful in the last year. He had reached level 3, which few could achieve in the whole ancient world. As a result, Holy Ancestor, the 2,000-year-old super expert from the Divine Land, had to escape when facing such a young boy. What's worse, he might not be able to escape just because he wanted to. All of this added to his depression. Right then, a killing intent flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes, which then fell on Holy Ancestor and Stone Ancestor, before he made a move and his intent boomed. Quick, let's block him together. Dongming King quickly shouted. His aura kept surging as his face twisted crazily. At such a crucial moment, he still had not given up on possessing the ancient world token. Idiot! Holy Ancestor shot Dongming King a cold glance before turning away without hesitation. Seeing this, Stone Ancestor tried to flee with him. Run! Run! The other skyscraping realm experts had finally seen through their situation. Not being idiots, they started running away in a disorderly fashion. In an instant, 5 of the skyscraping realm experts began escaping, all except Dongming King. The sight of this caused the experts in the feast to be dumbfounded. Holy Ancestor and Stone Ancestor, the supreme experts, are trying to escape without even fighting. Jian Wushuang is just a Cloud Realm expert, isn't he? How could he force so many super experts to flee? It was so unbelievable. Some experts were so astonished that they even thought they were in a dream. Master. Hands clenched. Lin Lan stared at her master with admiration. Marquis Zizhong and Marquis Guyang, who had come to the feast with Jian Wushuang, both widened their eyes and could not help swallowing hard. Boom! A rolling blood river swept outward from Jian Wushuang and covered the whole place in an instant. I told you that none of you would escape from me. Jian Wushuang's voice resounded through the place as the heart-killing sword slashed out from his hand like a star crossing the sky. Dong Mingqing managed to take a single strike from Jian Wushuang before being killed. As for the ancestors and the other experts who were trying to escape, they were slowed down by the blood river. What's worse, Jian Wushuang had quickly changed his target to them after he killed Dong Mingqing. No, those escaping experts looked pale. They knew very well that once Jian Wushuang caught up with them, they would definitely be killed. Run, run. They tried their best to run quickly, but 3 of them had already been killed by Jian Wushuang. Only Holy Ancestor and Stone Ancestor survived and were about to escape from the Blood River. There is no escape for you two. Jian Wushuang released an outburst of killing intent. Though the 2 ancestors had made it out of the river and were running in different directions, Jian Wushuang was not going to let either one of them go. With a move, his body seemed to split for a second, and 2 men appeared. One went after Holy Ancestor, while the other one followed Stone Ancestor. Many onlookers were stunned to see 2 Jian Wushuangs. There are two Jian Wushuangs. Chapter 6:01 Leaving? Chapter 6:01 Leaving. Yes, there were 2 Jian Wushuangs before their eyes. In fact, the 2 Jian Wushuangs they saw were his slaughter body and world body. The former had chased after Holy Ancestor with a heart-killing sword, while the later had gone after Stone Ancestor with the triple-kill sword. What? This can't be real. The escaping Holy Ancestor and Stone Ancestor looked grave when they saw the 2 Jian Wushuangs. They had thought that at least one of them could make it out alive if they kept running in different directions. But now, there were 2 Jian Wushuangs chasing after them. Holy Ancestor, you're dead. Jian Wushuang's slaughter body shouted when he caught up with Holy Ancestor with his higher speed and launched an attack. I'm dead. Holy Ancestor looked desperate. He knew he no longer had any chance surviving. He tried to struggle, but Jian Wushuang killed him in an instant. As for Jian Wushuang's world body, he caught up with Stone Ancestor as well, but did not kill him directly. Jian Wushuang, Stone Ancestor, looked at Jian Wushuang's world body in horror. Stone Ancestor. Jian Wushuang gazed back coldly and asked, "Where is your disciple Jiu Xiu?" Jiu Xiu, the person who had seized Jian Wushuang's father's sword soul and taken away his mother. Jian Wushuang had cursed this name 100 times, but to his confusion, he had not heard of this person even once after he entered Divine Land. He had expected that Jiu Xiu would join the feast with Stone Ancestor, but Jiu Xiu was not there. "If I tell you, will you let me go?" Stone Ancestor asked while staring at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's eyes became chilling. Without saying a word, he approached Stone Ancestor and struck out. Stone Ancestor was scared as he hurried to defend, but he still got hit. He began spitting blood as his face became extremely pale. "Look, you are in no position to bargain with me. Just tell me where Jiu Xiu is, and maybe I'll spare your life. Otherwise, I'll kill you now," Jian Wushuang warned in a low voice. His eyes filled with despair. Stone Ancestor was one of the top experts in the Divine Land, but now he was in a desperate situation, and he wasn't even able to decide his own fate. "Fine, I'll tell you what you want to know, but I hope you will keep your word." Stone Ancestor continued in a deep voice. "Jiu Xiu left the Divine Land several years ago, and he might have even left the ancient world. I really have no idea where he is now." "Left the ancient world." Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. No one can leave the ancient world at will. If that was possible, then you would not have fought so crazily for the ancient world token in order to leave here. You're lying. No, I'm not. Stone Ancestor shook his head. It's true that he has probably left the ancient world because of some connections he made after he caught a certain woman. A woman? Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed. He doubted that the woman was his mother. He had been told that his mother had left ancient world. She had probably been forced to leave with Jiuxiu. If I'm right, then where are they now? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. He did not know the answer, but his father seemed to. In order to see his mother again, his father had stepped on a path of no return. A path that even Di Jing was scared to walk. I'm too powerless and probably nothing in the eyes of the people in the outside world. I have to leave the ancient world and enhance my power so that I can look for my mother, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. A moment later, killing intent filled his eyes as he looked at Stone Ancestor. Swish! Jian Wushuang attacked him without restraint. Bastard! Jian Wushuang, you broke your promise. Stone Ancestor shouted in fright. However, Jian Wushuang did not seem to hear his words. Even though his world body was less powerful than his slaughter body by a bit, it took him no effort to kill Stone Ancestor. He looked down at Stone Ancestor's body and spoke out sarcastically. Broke my promise. Humph. I'll always keep my word to my family and friends, but never to an enemy. How ridiculous of you to expect me, your enemy, to keep my word. Jian Wushuang laughed, then smashed the body before going back to the feast. In the sky above the martial arts practice field, the two Jian Wushuangs merged into one under the watchful eyes of everyone after they killed their targets. Jian Wushuang had wanted to hide this skill from others, but considering that few in the ancient world could be his match at the moment, he did not mind exposing it. When Jian Wushuang arrived back at the feast, he found Spirit Ancestor and said to him, Spirit Ancestor, thank you so much. You're the one who helped Sword Marquis Mansion survive over the years. Both me and our mansion, even the whole of Sword Ancestor's bloodline, owe you a big favor. Here is an interspatial ring. The treasures I got from Holy Ancestor and Stone Ancestor are all in it. Please take it. Jian Wushuang handed the ring to Spirit Ancestor. The Ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile, then nodded and accepted the ring without saying a word. The people in the feast were astonished to know that both Holy Ancestor and Stone Ancestor had been killed by Jian Wushuang. Two supreme experts in the Divine Land had been killed by the same person in a single day. Lanner. Jian Wushuang turned to Lin Lan and said, Follow me. Okay. Lin Lan nodded respectfully and followed him. Watching until Jian Wushuang left, the stunned experts finally regained their composure. The next moment, the whole place went into an uproar. Chapter 602, Bone Dragon Emperor. Chapter 602, Bone Dragon Emperor. Lanner, I'll be leaving the Divine Land soon, and may even leave the ancient world as well. It will be quite a long time before I come back, Jian Wushuang said to Lin Lan. Master, you plan to leave here? Lin Lan was surprised to hear that. I can't guide you anymore, so you'll be on your own. This is an interspatial ring that contains some sword skills and experiences shared by some experts. It might be helpful. Jian Wushuang handed the ring to Lin Lan. After a moment of hesitating, Lin Lan accepted it. You lack experience, so you must be careful when dealing with others in the future. Maybe someday I'll come back. At that time, I'll come to see you. After saying this, Jian Wushuang smiled at her and turned away. Master. Lin Lan trembled while watching Jian Wushuang's back. She has followed me for so long, but I've never taught her anything valuable. I'm not a conscientious master. Jian Wushuang sighed. When he was no longer in Lin Lan's sight, he stopped walking forward. Among all the people who participated in the murder of Sword Ancestor, I've only killed a small number of them. I have to hurry up, find the rest, and take revenge. After that, I'll need to prepare for the Firmament Territory Feast in 3 years, Jian Wushuang pondered. Including Bloodblades Man, he had killed 7 of them so far, but it would take him some time to find the rest. Senior Di Jing. Jian Wushuang took out a messaging slip and sent a message. Di Jing had given him this messaging slip before he left Monster Continent. Boy, are you in trouble? Di Jing's laughing voice echoed. Yes, I've got some trouble. Jian Wushuang told him his plan. Senior, it will take me a rather long time to find all the people who helped the murder Sword Ancestor by myself and take revenge. I'm afraid I'll miss the Firmament Territory Feast while I'm busy looking for them. So, can you help me with this? That's easy. Wait there, and someone will be along to help you. After saying this, Di Jing cut the connection. Jian Wushuang waited patiently for a half day until an old figure appeared in front of him. The figure was a bald elder, skinny but serious looking, with purple sigils on top of his head. Jian Wushuang, the elder spoke in an icy voice. You are... Jian Wushuang looked confused while staring at the elder. He was sure that he had never seen him before, but he sensed a familiar feeling from him. You don't recognize me? The elder looked at Jian Wushuang and asked, All right, I look like a human being right now. Here, look at this. The elder took our bell. A bell? Jian Wushuang paused for a moment, but quickly realized who the elder was. Your senior Di Jing's mount. He recognized the bell. In fact, the bell was the top expert Bagoo cave master, who had been transformed by Di Jing and been given to the mount as a toy back then. Jian Wushuang remembered that mount as a dragon-headed demonic beast. That's why he had failed to recognize the elder until he saw the bell. With no more words, the elder threw the bell into the air, and the bell immediately transformed into a man. Naturally, it was Bagoo Cave Master. Bone Dragon Emperor. The bad-tempered Bagoo Cave Master stood in horror after returning to his human body and greeted the elder. Bone Dragon Emperor. Jian Wushuang looked toward the elder in surprise. He finally knew that the elder was also one of the 3 great monster emperors from the Monster Continent and was even the strongest one among them. He had never thought Di Jing could make such a powerful monster his mount. No wonder that Yang Zishuan was able to come to me with a dozen bone dragons before. Jian Wushuang, Bagoo Cave Master, is one of the people who helped murder Sword Ancestor, so he knows every one of them. Just ask him what you want to know. He won't dare lie to us, the elder said to Jian Wushuang. Good. Jian Wushuang nodded and turned to Bagoo Cave Master. So, just tell me who all the murderers are. Okay. Bagoo Cave Master nodded heavily and started to speak. There are a total of 28 people from different plane worlds that participated in killing Sword Ancestor, apart from me and Ju Jiking from Tianyu World, who are at level 3. The rest of them are only level 1 or 2. They are Holy Ancestor and Stone Ancestor from the Divine Land, Dongming King from Luoyang World, Qian Xingzi from the Boundless Continent. Without pausing, Bagoo Cave Master told Jian Wushuang the names of all the murderers. Among the 28, I've killed 7. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. Jian Wushuang, Bone Dragon Emperor, looked toward him and chimed in. I'll find the remaining 20 people for you as soon as possible, but I hope you can leave Bagoo Cave Master to me. I need him as a servant. No problem. Jian Wushuang nodded. For the sake of Bone Dragon Emperor, he would definitely spare Bagoo Cave Master's life. Besides, he didn't think there was much of a difference between being a bell or being dead. I've issued an order to track them, so there will be a response in 2 days. Just wait, Bone Dragon Emperor continued. Okay, thank you, Senior. Jian Wushuang nodded. He could afford to wait for 2 more days. As someone at the peak of level 3, Bone Dragon Emperor was one of the supreme experts in the ancient worlds and the master of one of the top forces. So his men started tracking the other 20 people as soon as he gave out the order. The response really did arrive 2 days later. Chapter 603, 14 people killed one by one. Chapter 603, 14 people killed one by one. Jian Wushuang, these are the results. Bone Dragon Emperor stood before Jian Wushuang and said, 7 died in the past 1,000 years, either because of old age or killed in fights for personal grudges or treasures. Only 14 are still alive in the ancient world. 14. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly in acknowledgement. Usually, a skyscraping realm expert could live for 3,000 years. After 1,000 years had passed, it was normal that some of them had died. The 14 people alive are in different planes. I will take you to their locations. Bone Dragon Emperor said, Thank you so much. Jian Wushuang was grateful. Immediately, Bone Dragon Emperor led Jian Wushuang away. They arrived at the Ice Fire World. It was a peculiar world, half filled with volcanoes and magma, while the other half covered in ice and snow. Now, they were in the half-world of ice and snow. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang and the Bone Dragon stopped in the air, looking down upon the world below. There was nothing but ice and snow. According to my information, Icewing is meditating under the snowfield. Bone Dragon Emperor said, Well, Jian Wushuang nodded. I will flush him out. After saying that, he spread forth his supreme sword essence. Jian Wushuang drew out his heart-killing sword and slashed at the ground. Bang! The ground split in half. A rift opened and ice and snow fell into it. Who is disturbing me? A roar came from the deep underground, shattering the falling ice, and a terrifying being could be seen rising. Then a white-robed elder with frosted eyebrows appeared. Is he Icewing? Jian Wushuang took a glance at the white-robed elder and said, Icewing, 1,000 years ago you and many other skyscraping realm experts killed Sword Ancestor for his ancient world token. Do you remember? Sword Ancestor? The white-robed elder's face fell, remembering the super sword talent 1,000 years ago. Yes, so what? Icewing snorted and said, My name is Jian Wushuang, a descendant of the Sword Ancestor. I come here today to seek vengeance for him. Therefore, you will die. After confirming his identity, Jian Wushuang acted directly without saying more. Icewing was just a normal level 1 expert at Skyscraping Realm. Having meditated for nearly 1,000 years, he had not improved too much. Therefore, Jian Wushuang killed him as easily as squashing an ant. 13 left. Jian Wushuang's eyes had a cold, sharp glint. Bone Dragon Emperor, let's go to the next. Okay. Bone Dragon Emperor nodded. Then they went to another plane through the wormhole. Time passed by. Thanks to Bone Dragon Emperor's lead, Jian Wushuang killed all the experts involved in killing the Sword Ancestor. It was not difficult for Jian Wushuang to kill these level 1 and level 2 experts at Skyscraping Realm. After all, his realm skill could slow them, and at the same time his own speed was fast. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. To kill them was easy, but they had spent most of their time finding their locations. In the Tianyu world, Jian Wushuang was crazily battling Zhu Jiqing over a great river. Those experts watching felt the whole world shake. Zhu Jiqing, a level 3 expert at Skyscraping Realm, though weaker than Sword Ancestor, was not easily killed. Besides, he knew well when and how to flee. After a while, knowing he was weaker than Jian Wushuang, Zhu Jiqing intended to flee. Though Jian Wushuang had used his realm, it was hard to stop him. At last, Bone Dragon Emperor lent a hand and stopped Zhu Jiqing, so that Jian Wushuang could kill him. Except for Bagu Cave Master, who turned into a small bell of Bone Dragon Emperor, All other experts who were involved in killing Sword Ancestor had perished. Most importantly, Jian Wushuang killed most of them with relative ease. Time for the last one. A sharp light flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. Though he didn't kill Sword Ancestor with his own hands, Jian Wushuang had the strongest killing intent against him. It was Su Ming, a traitor of the bloodline of the Sword Ancestor. It was he who leaked that Sword Ancestor had an ancient world token. It was also he who forced Jian Wushuang to leave the Divine Land. He was the one Jian Wushuang wanted to kill most. Jian Wushuang, I have discovered where Su Ming is, but there is going to be some difficulty in killing him. Bone Dragon Emperor said. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Su Ming had reached skyscraping realm not long ago. How could it be difficult to kill him? Su Ming joined Darkness Temple and now is the 9th Saint Master of Darkness Temple. If you want to kill him, you will need to negotiate with the Darkness Temple first. Bone Dragon Emperor explained. Darkness Temple? Jian Wushuang's face fell. During the last 2 months, he had been staying with Bone Dragon Emperor and had heard of some things about the ancient world from him. The ancient world consisted of different planes. Skyscraping realm experts from these worlds traveled from one to another and fought with each other. Gradually different forces formed. Each force was defended by skyscraping realm experts. For example, as the leader of one of the most powerful force in the ancient world, Bone Dragon Emperor was a super expert. The Darkness Temple was another powerful force in the ancient world. Chapter 604, The Strongest Expert in the Ancient World. Chapter 604, The Strongest Expert in the Ancient World. Although in overall strength, the Darkness Temple was weaker than the Bone Dragon Emperor's force, it had a strong and tyrannical temple master. He was called Dark Emperor. In the ancient world, Dark Emperor, Bone Dragon Emperor, and Su Ming were the top 3 experts. Each of them was much stronger than level 3 experts at Skyscraping Realm. They were considered to have reached level 4. As one of the top 3, even Bone Dragon Emperor could do nothing to Dark Emperor. Temple Master Black Spirit of Human League in the Monster Continent was an exception. Her own strength was at peak of level 3, nearly as strong as Sword Ancestor at his peak. But she possessed a relic from the Monster Exterminating League, a half-broken finger of Godhong. To use the broken finger placed a great burden on Temple Master Black Spirit's body, so she could at most use it twice. Once used, she could easily kill Bone Dragon Emperor and Dark Emperor. That's why Temple Master Black Spirit was feared on the Monster Continent. Even Bone Dragon Emperor dared not push her too much, worried that if she used the broken finger, at least one of them would be killed. Because of the broken finger, Temple Master Black Spirit was counted as one of the strongest in the ancient world. Jian Wushuang, Dark Emperor, is arrogant, selfish, and strong. The Darkness Temple's overall strength isn't the most powerful, but Dark Emperor indulges them by allowing them to be arrogant in the ancient world. Since Su Ming has joined the Darkness Temple, Dark Emperor surely wouldn't allow you to kill him. Bone Dragon Emperor said, Is there anything I can do? Jian Wushuang frowned and asked, There is. Bone Dragon Emperor looked at him and said, Ask my master for help. Dark Emperor is as strong as me, but compared to my master, he is nothing. Ask Master Dijing for help? Jian Wushuang shook his head. No hurry. It's better not to trouble him unless there is no other way. Okay, then maybe you can offer him a treasure he is interested in. That way he will not stop you because of his greedy nature, said Bone Dragon Emperor. A treasure he is interested in. Jian Wushuang had a sudden idea. Is there another way? Jian Wushuang asked. Or you could improve yourself to become as strong as me. Then the Dark Emperor would be unable to stop you. I believe it will not take you long. Bone Dragon Emperor said. Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded. He left this option aside. Although it would not take him long to be strong as them, he had no time. He wanted to resolve his issues as soon as possible, so that he could go to Emperor Shao and prepare for the Firmament Territory Feast. Jian Wushuang, what do you think? Bone Dragon Emperor looked at Jian Wushuang. Let's visit Dark Emperor first. I have a treasure, and I don't know whether he is interested in it. If not, I will send a message and ask Master Dijing for help. Jian Wushuang said, Okay, I will lead you there. Bone Dragon Emperor immediately set off. The Darkness Temple was in the Dark Continent, one of the many plane worlds of the ancient world. A boundless dark palace sat in mysterious, dark fog. In a hall, deep in the palace, 3 people sat at a long, narrow table and drank together. Among them, there was an evil man who was even more beautiful than many women. He was the man Jian Wushuang had been wanting to kill, Su Ming, a traitor of the bloodline of the Sword Ancestor. Ninth Saint Master, are you still thinking about Jian Wushuang? A regal lady in rich robes looked at Su Ming. Kind of. Su Ming said, Don't worry. Jian Wushuang may have killed many skyscraping realm experts, but those people had no or small backgrounds, and they were normal skyscraping realm experts. You are different, the lady said with a smile. During the last 2 months, the news that Jian Wushuang and Bone Dragon Emperor killed 14 skyscraping realm experts had spread in the ancient world. Many people in the ancient world had heard of Jian Wushuang, including people in the Darkness Temple. Su Ming was the person Jian Wushuang wanted to kill the most, so he was also aware of this. Ninth Saint Master, you're a Saint Master of the Darkness Temple. My husband will protect you. Even if Jian Wushuang comes, what can he do? The lady laughed. I hope so. Su Ming nodded, but his face was still cold. I didn't expect Jian Wushuang had improved so much in less than a year. He is nearly as strong as that old guy at his peak. Hee, what a talented junior brother. Su Ming thought, but he did not care too much. He was the 9th Saint Master of the Darkness Temple now. If Jian Wushuang wanted to kill him, he had to get through the Dark Emperor first. Besides, he had a trump card, which he believed would save his life. Junior brother, you better be aware of the situation, otherwise, if you push me too much, I will use it. Su Ming's insidious face smiled. Chapter 605, Dark Emperor. Chapter 605, Dark Emperor. Bone Dragon Emperor led Jian Wushuang to the Dark Continent where the Darkness Temple was located. Is that Darkness Temple? Jian Wushuang looked at the boundless dark palace and perceived auras of multiple experts within. As a powerful force in the ancient world, Darkness Temple had many skyscraping realm experts. Darkness. Bone Dragon Emperor appeared above the Darkness Temple, spreading his aura. Shortly after, many figures emerged from the Darkness Temple. The leader was the black-robed, middle-aged man, whose deep-set eyes sparkled in the darkness. Bone Dragon, Dark Emperor said with a husky voice and glanced at Jian Wushuang. Are you Sword Emperor, the rising star? Nice to meet you, Jian Wushuang said with a hint of humility. Dark, since you know who he is, you must know why we are here, right? Bone Dragon Emperor said straightforwardly. I know, Dark Emperor said. You want to kill the 9th Saint Master. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded and said, Dark Emperor, Su Ming is my sworn enemy. I hope you can do me a favor. Jian Wushuang, what do you think the Darkness Temple is? Dark Emperor stared at Jian Wushuang with cold eyes. I don't care what kind of resentment exists. Now that he is a Saint Master of the Darkness Temple, I will protect him. If you kill him, you will become an enemy of the Darkness Temple. Hearing that, Jian Wushuang and Bone Dragon Emperor looked at each other and were not surprised. Naturally, the Dark Emperor wouldn't easily allow them to kill Su Ming. Dark Emperor, I have a compass, which is the key to finding an ancient world token. If you agree, I will give it to you. Jian Wushuang took out a light yellow compass. An ancient world token was definitely a treasure any skyscraping realm experts would crazily fight for. It allowed entry to the firmament territory feast of the eternal world. A compass, ancient world token. The Dark Emperor was a little interested in it. He looked at the compass in Jian Wushuang's hand and nodded. I know, it's left by Sect Master Dong. People can find the ancient world token he left with the compass, but... Dark Emperor smiled coldly. Jian Wushuang, do you think I care about it? Ridiculous, I would not, even if it was an ancient world token. There are 5 ancient world tokens. You're a descendant of the sword ancestor, and the ancient world token he left must be in your hand too. Therefore, there are still 3 others in the ancient world. Luckily, I already have one. The Dark Emperor took out a token. Jian Wushuang looked at it and recognized that it was a real ancient world token. Has he got an ancient world token already? Jian Wushuang didn't expect this. He planned to entice Dark Emperor with the compass. Now it seemed the compass was useless to him. Jian Wushuang, are you trying to buy me over with a compass? Ridiculous. Even if I didn't have one, I would not kill a Saint Master for an ancient world token. Dark Emperor sneered at him. This is troublesome. Jian Wushuang's look changed. Do I have to ask Master Dijing for help? Wait a minute, let me have a try. Bone Dragon Emperor said to Jian Wushuang in a low voice. Then he went to Dark Emperor. Dark. Bone Dragon Emperor came to Dark Emperor's side. Bone Dragon, are you trying to help him? Dark Emperor's face fell. He didn't care about Jian Wushuang, but Bone Dragon Emperor was different. No, I just want to tell you something. Bone Dragon Emperor smiled, lowered his voice, and said, Jian Wushuang and those Saint Masters of the Darkness Temple were just looking quietly at them. They didn't know what Bone Dragon Emperor had told Dark Emperor, but they saw Dark Emperor's surprised look. A moment later, Bone Dragon Emperor went back to Jian Wushuang. Bone Dragon Emperor, what did you tell him? Jian Wushuang couldn't help asking. I told him your age. That is enough. Bone Dragon Emperor said with a smile. That's it. Jian Wushuang was surprised. Don't worry, Dark Emperor is clever. In a few years, you will probably be even stronger than him. Then you can kill him easily, so he will not offend you for a Saint Master. Bone Dragon Emperor laughed and said, We have come to an arrangement that he will give you a chance to kill Su Ming, but you need to give him an out first. After all, he is the Temple Master. It's impossible for him to do nothing and let you kill the Saint Master. That's it. Jian Wushuang immediately understood. Dark Emperor above the Darkness Temple looked over at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, since Bone Dragon Emperor has solicited favor on behalf of you, I will give you a chance. Dark Emperor said, drawing out a long black spear, spreading an aura of power. I will attack you with the spear. As long as you can survive 3 moves of my spear, I will not stop you. Otherwise, you have only yourself to blame. 3 moves. Jian Wushuang immediately knew what he meant. Chapter 606 Secret Skill. Chapter 606 Secret Skill. Please go ahead, Jian Wushuang said. Look carefully, it's the first move. Immediately, 6 tall spear soul phantoms arose behind him. Just after Dark Emperor thrust his long spear, the phantoms did so too. Darkness spread and created an eddy as if it would swallow everything in the world. At the center of the eddy, the cold spearhead had rushed towards Jian Wushuang with an all-encompassing lethal force. Jian Wushuang looked grave. Behind him, his golden sword soul phantom rose too. Although there was only one, the supreme sword essence it unleashed was much more powerful than those 6 spear soul phantoms. Gathering the spiritual power in his hand, in the next second, Jian Wushuang slashed out with his heart-killing sword, which looked like a boundless and lasting star river. It was the seventh move of Heart-Killing Sword, Star River. Bang! Two forces collided. Immediately ripples spread through the air. The dark eddy turned around, and Jian Wushuang also staggered back many steps. In the eddy, Dark Emperor held tightly onto his long black spear, and the aura of darkness on him became stronger. I have underestimated you. It didn't kill you. It didn't even suppress you. Instead, you have the upper hand. You are strong enough to be ranked among the top experts in the ancient world. Here comes the second move. I will spare no effort this time. Then he thrust his long spear again. Seemingly simple, it rushed rapidly towards Jian Wushuang's head, like lightning across the distance. So fast! Jian Wushuang's look darkened. Fast and horrifying. Saint Masters of the Darkness Temple behind Dark Emperor were shocked. Apparently he had spared no effort. Jian Wushuang squared his shoulders and watched the coming spear. The Blood River realm immediately spread, and a blood bridge crossed the Blood River. Azura's secret skill, Road to the Underworld and Bridge of Helplessness were displayed simultaneously. The next moment, Jian Wushuang slashed again. He used his full strength with all his body's power, spiritual power, and power of sword soul and Tao. The Star River was much stronger than before. Boom! Two forces collided again. Jian Wushuang stepped back more than 30 meters before stopping. Such a powerful move. A glimpse of admiration flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes after he came to a stop. Though his physical strength was stronger than Dark Emperor, he was weaker in Tao, as was his trump card. Therefore, he was at a disadvantage. But fortunately, he was not injured. You're not injured. I believe you are qualified to be ranked in the top 10 in the ancient world. Be careful, the third move comes. Dark Emperor's cold voice reverberated in the world. On hearing this, Jian Wushuang's face darkened more. Saint Masters of the Darkness Temple were expectant. Is it? Sure. His most powerful move, secret skill, which he created himself. Secret skill, when will we create our own? In the void, Dark Emperor suddenly struck out. Immediately the void turned into nothingness. A long spear stabbed out quietly but with amazing speed. It was too fast to react to. Jian Wushuang could only raise his long sword before his chest. Bang! A thud fell. Jian Wushuang's eyes opened wide after finding that a rift appeared in the void before him. Space rift. Jian Wushuang stared at it. It cracked space. Such a powerful attack. What's going on? Jian Wushuang was surprised. He thought it was powerful because it had torn through space. However, when it really hit him, he found that it was not. He was not even wounded. What happened? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes and understood immediately. Dark Emperor has planned this. He was just posturing to prove that he had tried his best. Understanding this point, a happy expression appeared on Jian Wushuang's face. Since it was a show, Jian Wushuang certainly would support him. Spitting out blood, Jian Wushuang's face turned pale, as if he was heavily wounded. Dark Emperor frowned and looked at Jian Wushuang. You are not dead? Your body is so strong that even Bone Dragon Emperor's body is not stronger than yours. I will keep my word. Since you're still alive, I will not stop you anymore. Then he left directly. Husband. Temple Master. Hearing what the Dark Emperor said, those Saint Masters' faces changed. Thank you. He turned his eyes to a corner of the Darkness Temple, where there was a powerful aura he had perceived earlier. That was Su Ming. Su Ming, come accept your death. Jian Wushuang's angry shout reverberated. In a hall of the Darkness Temple, Su Ming sat leg-crossed. He knew what had happened outside. His eyes fell when he saw Jian Wushuang was still alive after being attacked by Dark Emperor's strongest move. Dark Emperor's most powerful move. He created it himself. In the ancient world, only he can perform it. It's impossible that Jian Wushuang can withstand it, even if his body is strong. Chapter 607 Su Ming Survival. Chapter 607 Su Ming Survival. Secret skills were very overwhelming and horrifying. In the entire ancient world, only the Dark Emperor could create a secret skill. The strongest experts, such as the Bone Dragon Emperor and Sir Ming, had never created any secret skills. Only with some other techniques could they have similar battle strength with Dark Emperor. In terms of offensive power, Dark Emperor's secret skill was absolutely the best. What astonished Su Ming, however, was that such a terrifying secret skill could be overcome by Jian Wushuang so easily, and the latter was just hurt a little. Humph! Dark Emperor was very selfish and only cared about his own interests. Maybe it was because he saw Jian Wushuang has incredible talent or thought about Bone Dragon Emperor that he showed mercy just now. He has never been planning to protect me. As for that space rift, well, he was just acting. Anyway, the secret skill was created by himself and is so complex that other people cannot tell the difference. Su Ming laughed coldly. At this moment, Su Ming, come accept your death. A roar with rage was suddenly heard by Su Ming. His face became solemn. Then his figure immediately rushed out. At the next moment, he had appeared in the void, just standing in front of Jian Wushuang. Seeing Jian Wushuang, a dark and cold smile appeared on Su Ming's face. Jian Wushuang, my good junior brother, you hate me so much and want to kill me immediately? It's good that you know this. Jian Wushuang shot a glance at Su Ming. Today, I'll definitely kill you. Kill me? Haha, you are kidding. Su Ming suddenly laughed. Jian Wushuang, you are too arrogant. You think you can kill me because I do not have the Dark Emperor's protection? You are looking down upon me too much. Jian Wushuang's expression couldn't help changing slightly when he heard these words. At this critical moment, Su Ming still had other trump cards. However, Su Ming stretched out his hand, in which there was a jade slip surrounding by slight thunderbolt power. Looking at this jade slip, a flash of coldness appeared in Su Ming's eyes. I thought I would use this jade slip later in the ancient world, but now I have to use it. How unfortunate. With a slight sigh, Su Ming slowly gripped the jade slip with his right hand. At the next moment, the jade slip was crushed. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang had a bad feeling. As expected, after the jade slip was crushed, an incredible blast of power exploded, with dense space energy. The void above abruptly collapsed, and a huge whirlpool appeared from nowhere, connecting with another space. The other end of the whirlpool was full of mystery. At the sight of the huge whirlpool, many experts, including Bone Dragon Emperor and the Dark Emperor who had retreated to the Darkness Temple, greatly changed their complexion. Everyone could feel the special aura spreading from that whirlpool. That aura was alluring. Eternal world. This is the channel to the eternal world. Bone Dragon Emperor stared and shouted in a low voice. What? Jian Wushuang was also shocked. The channel to the eternal world. Generally, there was one-way travel from the ancient world to the eternal world, and the only way was through the use of the ancient world token. However, it was just the regular way. Yet, sometimes there was special situation. Super experts, such as Emperor Shao and Di Jing, could travel from the ancient world to the eternal world freely, and they could even bring someone from the ancient world to the eternal world. Before that, Emperor Shao had said if Jian Wushuang could not break through before the Firmament Territory feast, he would also bring Jian Wushuang to the eternal world. But now, the jade slip crushed by Su Ming was apparently a very rare, special way to the eternal world. Aha! Jian Wushuang, you think you can kill me? Seeing this scene, Su Ming was not surprised at all, but stared at Jian Wushuang with a cold smile. A little while after the huge whirlpool appeared and the special aura was spread out, a figure slowly stepped out from the whirlpool. This man was wearing a purple robe on which some scarlet thunderbolts were embroidered. His body was strong, with a cold and proud face. He just stood there. Not intentionally, a light aura was spreading out, and the entire earth and heaven fell into a deathly stillness in a moment. A scarlet thunderbolt was surging in the purple-robed man's eyes, which swept past everyone present. Anyone who was swept by his eyes, even including Bone Dragon Emperor and Dark Emperor, could not help but shiver with terror. They all had a feeling that the purple-robed person could easily kill them with a single thought. How frightening! This man! Everyone present looked at the purple-robed person with fear. Just the aura made Bone Dragon Emperor and Dark Emperor extremely terrified. The man's identity was very clear. Someone from the eternal world. Bone Dragon Emperor's pupils shrank. Like my master. He is a super expert from the eternal world. But I don't know who is stronger between the two. Expert from the eternal world. Jian Wushuang also stared at the purple-robed person with terror. He could see that the purple-robed person's strength was far above the skyscraping realm, so he must be a super expert with a higher level strength. The purple-robed person, who was stared at by everyone, swept around with his eyes filled with scarlet thunderbolts, and finally looked at Su Ming. "You are Su Ming, my junior brother?" The purple-robed person slowly spoke in a low and heavy voice, just like the thunder. "Su Ming, junior brother?" The experts present were all shocked. The purple-robed person came after Su Ming crushed the jade slip, so they had guessed that Su Ming had some connection with that purple-robed person, but they had never thought that the purple-robed person would call Su Ming his junior brother. "I am Su Ming. Who are you, my senior brother?" Su Ming looked at the purple-robed person in a modest way. "My name is Shuiyang, and I am the guiding envoy of the Universal Thunder Sect." Before long, Sect Master Lei Xan said that he had traveled across a lot of ancient worlds, where he left some opportunities, and an opportunity was obtained by a little guy called Su Ming. He told me to pay attention to the situation of this ancient world. Once you crush Sect Master Lei Xan's pledge token, I'll come and guide you to the Universal Thunder Sect. The purple-robed person said in a very polite way to Su Ming, "I thought you would stay longer in this ancient world, but you crushed the jade slip so early." Hearing what Shuiyang said, the people around understood everything. So that is what it is. Su Ming obtained an opportunity left by a super expert of the eternal world and has the chance to the eternal world. How lucky! Chapter 608, Universal Thunder Sect. Chapter 608, Universal Thunder Sect. All the experts, including Dark Emperor, Bone Dragon Emperor, and the present experts from the Darkness Temple, looked at Su Ming with admiration. In normal circumstances, if they wanted to go to the eternal world, they had to desperately fight for an ancient world token, and then had to wait for the commencement of the Firmament Territory Feast to enter the eternal world. In addition, even though they took part in the Firmament Territory Feast, only the people who did very well and the most brilliant talents could get the chance to enter powerful sections. Most of the people who were going to the eternal world would become cannon fodder. But Su Ming, he could directly enter the eternal world and the Universal Thunder Sect just because he obtained an opportunity left by an expert of the eternal world, and he could even be guided by an expert. His luck was really heaven-defying. "I wanted to stay longer in the ancient world, but," Su Ming said, and looking at Jian Wushuang with incomparably cold eyes. Anyway, he had just broken through and reached the skyscraping realm. Indeed, he was not in a hurry to enter the eternal world. His original plan was to stay for another several hundred years in the ancient world, where he could enjoy being a top expert. Anyway, when he arrived in the eternal world, where there were countless experts, he, a skyscraping realm, would be as weak as an ant. However, just because of Jian Wushuang's pressure, He had to choose to crush the jade slip now and directly enter the eternal world. Su Ming, my junior brother, can you come along with me now? Shuiyang asked. Shuiyang, my senior brother, speaking frankly, I have a deadly enemy in this ancient world. Today, if you, my senior brother, had not come, I'm afraid I would have become a dead body. If this man is not killed, I cannot go to the Universal Thunder Sect with a peaceful heart, so I hope you can help me kill my enemy. Su Ming said seriously. Oh. Shuiyang raised his eyebrows, with his scarlet thunderbolt eyes sweeping around. Hearing what Su Ming said, Jian Wushuang looked concerned. Su Ming, my junior brother, who is your enemy? I can help you kill him. Shuiyang directly said. In this little ancient world, no one could stop Shuiyang from doing anything. He just needed to lift a finger to kill Su Ming's enemy in the ancient world. As soon as he thought Su Ming was the person Sect Master Late Xan told him to guide, Shuiyang would not refuse at all. Thank you for your help, Shuiyang, my senior brother. Su Ming was very glad. He pointed to Jian Wushuang immediately. Shuiyang, my senior brother, my enemy was him. I hope you kill him. I will be very grateful. This little guy. Shuiyang shot a glance at Jian Wushuang with no emotion in his eyes and said, Little guy, as long as my junior brother wants you to die, you have to die. After saying this, Shuiyang reached out his hand and pointed a finger at Jian Wushuang. A light, scarlet thunderbolt whirled around him and burst out in an instant. At that moment, the void directly collapsed and many space rifts, which were as long as several miles, appeared. More than a score of space rifts burst out immediately. The space in the ancient world is so fragile. Shuiyang smiled scornfully. The sight of this caused the surrounding experts to gulp a deep breath. Anyway, in their ancient world, it was well recognized that Dark Emperor had the #1 offensive power. However, even the secret skill he created, his most powerful technique, could only make a small space rift in the void. But now, Shuiyang's casual finger could produce power which was tens of thousands of times stronger than the Dark Emperor's most powerful technique. It was too terrifying. With a single finger, he could destroy the entire earth and heaven. No. Jian Wushuang's face became pale, seeing the finger which could destroy the world attacking him. Despite desperately wanting to escape, he realized with terror that no matter how he dodged, that finger would track and attack him. The comprehension of Tao from this far exceeded his imagination. Jian Wushuang, accept your destiny and die. Su Ming's face looked ferocious, looking forward to seeing the scene where Jian Wushuang was completely killed. However, just before the finger, which could destroy the world, really fell upon Jian Wushuang, the void before Jian Wushuang suddenly broke and a hole appeared. A giant hand came out from the hole and slapped that finger into pieces in an instant. Moreover, the power of the giant hand was not diminishing, and the hand continued to attack Shuiyang. What? Shuiyang, the purple-robed person with a superior posture, changed his face greatly at this moment. He had never thought that, in this little ancient world, someone could head-on stop his attack. As the giant hand approached him, he had no capacity to dodge at all. Pung! The giant hand slapped Shuiyang, and the latter immediately spouted out a mouthful of fresh blood, while his figure retreated in embarrassment. At the same time, a grand voice with arrogance was heard from the hole, echoing between the earth and heaven. Universal Thunder Sect? Humph! How dare you? You dare attack the man who is valued by our Master Emperor Shao. When there is a chance, I will visit your sect master Late Xan for Master Emperor Shao. The arrogant voice echoed between the earth and heaven, lingering for a long time and terrifying everyone present. Emperor Shao? Master Emperor Shao? Shuiyang's eyes widened with a sense of terror. At this moment, he could not think about his own injuries. In a hurry, he looked at Su Ming and said, "Su Ming, junior brother, let's go. Let's go quickly." Shocked by that scene just now, Su Ming was stunned when he heard what Shui Yang said. He realized the terror on Shui Yang's face. He dared not hesitate and just directly stepped into the channel to the eternal world, following Shui Yang. As a brilliant light flashed, Shui Yang and Su Ming disappeared out of everyone's sight. Who? Watching Shui Yang leave, Bone Dragon Emperor let out a sigh of relief. It's lucky that the master has been paying attention to the situation here and did something, or... Bone Dragon Emperor exclaimed. He knew that the person who had just attacked was Dijing. Jian Wushuang, Su Ming has gone to the eternal world. If you want to kill him, it seems that you have to wait. Bone Dragon Emperor looked over to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was just standing still and looking at what was happening. He slightly nodded with an icy cold face. Universal Thunder Sect. Jian Wushuang gripped his hands tightly. Su Ming, you just wait, and I'll pursue you in the eternal world in a little while. Chapter 609, Heaven-Defying 4 Steps. Chapter 609, Heaven-Defying 4 Steps. Having not killed Su Ming, Jian Wushuang felt regret. Yet, except for Su Ming, the experts who had sought to kill the sword ancestor had all been killed. In the ancient world, Jian Wushuang had no other enemies. Jian Wushuang went back to the monster continent following Bone Dragon Emperor. They went back to the huge black castle where Emperor Shao was living. In the garden, Emperor Shao was sitting on a stone stool, while Dijing stood by his side respectfully. You have finished dealing with your affairs? Emperor Shao looked over at Jian Wushuang. Yes, I have finished. There was a little accident, but luckily Master Dijing helped me out. Jian Wushuang said, Aha, it was a small thing, and I just drove a little kid of the divine realm away. Dijing smiled in a strange way. Divine realm. Jian Wushuang was stunned. Naturally, he knew that Dijing was talking about Shui Yang from the Universal Thunder Sect. However, Jian Wushuang only knew that Shui Yang was a super expert far beyond the skyscraping realm, and he did not know his specific realm. Now, Jian Wushuang knew that Shui Yang's level was called the Divine Realm. The little guy of the Divine Realm was nothing, but the Universal Thunder Sect behind him in the Firmament Territory is indeed not a weak sect. There are several experts of the Eternal Realm. When you go to the Firmament Territory and deal with the Universal Thunder Sect, you have to be careful. Dijing said, Eternal Realm? Jian Wushuang was more confused. Little guy, aren't you yearning for the second gray stone bead? Now I will give it to you. When you understand the realms after the heavenly creation skill, you will naturally get to know the concept of the divine realm and the eternal realm. Saying that, Emperor Shao threw the second gray stone bead to Jian Wushuang. As if it had its own consciousness, the gray stone bead immediately went into Jian Wushuang's body as soon as it got near him. As soon as the second gray stone bead entered his body, it began to crazily whirl. Then, a torrent of information directly entered Jian Wushuang's mind. This information was naturally the cultivation technique of the realms, following the heavenly creation skill. This is accepting the cultivation techniques of the several realms after the heavenly creation skill. Jian Wushuang could not help but feel astonished. The message said that there were 2 volumes of the heavenly creation skill, with the first volume ending at flying to the 9th heaven. Flying to the 9th heaven meant that the warrior should lay foundation step by step from entering the martial arts. When he reached the last level of the cloud realm, Jian Wushuang would feel perfect in all aspects. This was just laying the perfect foundation. That was to say that the purpose of the first volume of the heavenly creation skill was only to lay a perfect foundation, just like what Jian Wushuang had now. After having the prefect foundation, Jian Wushuang would cultivate the heavenly defying 4 steps. The heaven-defying 4 steps were really the core and essence of the heavenly creation skill. The heaven-defying 4 steps were Step 1, Heaven-treading realm, Step 2, Deification realm, Step 3, Everlasting realm, and Step 4, Eternal Supremo. As for normal warriors, there were also 4 realms above the cloud realm, and those were respectively the skyscraping realm, the divine realm, the eternal realm, and the Tao Master realm. The skyscraping realm of normal warriors corresponded to the first step of the heavenly creation skill, the heaven-treading realm. Jian Wushuang was at the 9-cloud realm now. Hence, if he could break through, he would reach the heaven-treading realm. The first volume of the heavenly creation skill was only for laying a perfect foundation. Then, the following heaven-defying 4 steps would be the most important. Jian Wushuang widened his eyes. To him, the first volume of the heavenly creation skill, which he had been cultivating, had several levels and was incomparably powerful. It could be described as overpowered. But now he knew that the real essence and core of the heavenly creation skill was its second volume, i.e., the heaven-defying 4 steps. As for the first volume, it was only for laying a perfect foundation to make him perfect in all aspects. It seems that I have looked down upon the heavenly creation skill. Jian Wushuang exclaimed secretly. It was a heaven-defying cultivation method that utterly changed his destiny, and it was absolutely far beyond a normal warrior's cultivation system. Jian Wushuang did not know how magical it was and how much power it had on earth. Yet, as long as Jian Wushuang had set out on the road of inverse cultivation, he would not be afraid. He would continue along it without any hesitation. I don't know the differences between my heaven-defying 4 steps and a normal warrior's 4 realms. Jian Wushuang was secretly musing. But now he knew that he was still too weak. He had just broken through and reached the 9-cloud realm. It was not easy to make the first heaven-defying step. There are 4 realms in the eternal world. Shuiyang was of the divine realm, but in the universal thunder sect, there are several experts of the eternal realm. Jian Wushuang thought, in the 4 realms of the skyscraping realm, the divine realm, the eternal realm, and the Tao Master realm, the skyscraping realm is the most ordinary. Emperor Shao explained, in the eternal world, most of the ordinary disciples of the sects are of the skyscraping realm, and it is at the bottom in the eternal world. Take the Firmament Territory Feast as an example. Although countless experts of the ancient world would come, these experts had to reach the skyscraping realm at least to be qualified. Divine realm. In the sects of the eternal realm, someone at this level could obtain some prestige. Some divine realm experts with extreme strength could be the local tyrant in some isolated places in the eternal world. As for the eternal realm, it means eternal and everlasting life. Anyone reaching this level could be called experts, even in the eternal realm. There are many sects in the eternal world, and the most powerful is the eternal realm expert. Experts at this level will be valued highly no matter which sect they go. As for the last Tao Master realm, Tao Master is the peak expert in the eternal world. They are the top beings and the real overlords of the eternal world. Of course, the 4 realms are only normal warriors' levels. You are cultivating the heavenly creation skill. As an inverse cultivation, it has unlimited potential. Jian Wushuang quietly nodded. He was listening very carefully and put everything that Emperor Shao said into his mind. At this time, Emperor Shao looked over at him again. There are 3 years before the commencement of the Firmament Territory Feast. In these 3 years, I'll do my best to help you raise your strength and let you have the chance to take the first heaven-defying step within 3 years. At your level, if you want to raise your strength, there are only 2 ways, and the first way is raising your comprehension of Tao. The second way is secret skills. Jian Wushuang was intrigued. Needless to say, the comprehension of Tao was very important. As for the skyscraping realm experts, their strength level was based on their comprehension of Tao. Although he had not understood the secret skill before, Having fought against the Dark Emperor, Jian Wushuang was very clear about the overwhelming and terrifying power of the secret skill. Chapter 610, 9 Levels of Tao. Chapter 610, 9 Levels of Tao. First of all is the comprehension of Tao. Emperor Shao stared at Jian Wushuang. Tao is evolved from the origin source. The kind of the origin you cultivate will determine the kind of Tao you comprehend. Like many warriors you have encountered, nearly all of them have combined the weapon Tao with the origin, and that's how they comprehend their Tao. However, the origin Tao is the origin Tao, while the weapon Tao is the weapon Tao. They are completely different concepts. They have forcefully combined two different natures together. Although they have comprehended Tao, their Tao is unfocused nor complete. Strictly speaking, it cannot be classified into any type of Tao. The warriors who comprehend Tao in this way would be destined to stay at the skyscraping realm and would never raise their strength unless they could get an expert's guidance. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang was surprised. He had encountered a lot of Taos, from Su Ming's illusory sword principle, to Blind Emperor's heart sword principle, to Emperor Fengxiao's water drop sword principle, to Emperor Golden Snake's phantom saber principle, etc. But all of them were Taos comprehended through the combination of the origin and weapons. In the beginning, Jian Wushuang felt that these principles were very weird. Later, as he really comprehended the slaughter Tao, he found the power of his slaughtered Tao was much more powerful than those Taos. Only now did he finally understand it. The illusory sword principle, heart sword principle, water drop sword principle, and phantom saber principle were all Taos comprehended through an incomplete way. Naturally, they were far inferior than Jian Wushuang's pure and perfect slaughter Tao. Kid, I know that you have comprehended two origins. Among them, your comprehension of the slaughter origin is higher, and you have comprehended the slaughter Tao. Emperor Shao looked over to him. However, it's a pity that I am not good at the slaughter Tao. Hence, I have to ask Di Jing to teach you. Senior Di Jing. Jian Wushuang looked at Di Jing immediately. Little guy, I specialize in the slaughter Tao. Although there were some accidents and I nearly died, I have recovered now. With my comprehension of the slaughter Tao, I could even be the master of an expert in the eternal realm. There's no problem to teach you, of course. Di Jing smiled. By the way, the 6-story pagoda, actually. It was given to you by me. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone. He had guessed the truth. The 6-story pagoda was full of magic power. Even the restrictions of the first story were incomparably abstruse. After breaking through the first story, Jian Wushuang directly comprehended the slaughter Tao. Yet, there were more profound restriction in the other 5 stories. It was so great. Could it belong to a puppet master? There was only one answer, and it was that Di Jing gave the 6-story pagoda to him through the hands of the puppet master. A figure rushed out from Jian Wushuang's body, and it was his slaughter body. Then, in the next 3 years, I, the slaughter body, will rely on you, Senior Di Jing. Jian Wushuang's slaughter body bowed and said. Jian Wushuang could only shrug his shoulders. He was not good at or fond of teaching disciples, but as long as it was Emperor Zhao's order, he had to obey. Although I am not good at the slaughter Tao, I am good at the world Tao. Emperor Shao spoke again. Oh! Jian Wushuang looked towards Emperor Shao with expectant eyes. Di Jing was Emperor Zhao's subordinate. Undoubtedly, Emperor Zhao's strength was much stronger than Di Jing's, and the former's personal instruction was better than the latter's. Without saying anything, Emperor Shao just waved his hand. Immediately, gusts of world energy gathered, and an incomparably huge khaki prison appeared in the garden. This is... Jian Wushuang looked at the khaki prison in surprise. This is the world prison. Emperor Shao explained. This world prison was formed by the gathering of world energy. If you stay inside the world prison, you can clearly sense the surrounding world Tao, and the world prison will put pressure upon you and bring suffering to you. What you have to do is to comprehend the world Tao as soon as possible, and then you can break the world prison completely. Oh, Jian Wushuang's expression changed, and then his eyebrows slightly raised. He needed to completely break the world prison. Although he had not actually entered the world prison to cultivate, standing outside of it, he could see how solid the world prison was. Let alone him. Even the Dark Emperor, whose offensive power was #1 in the ancient world and who had created a secret skill, could not dream of breaking the prison, could he? There are 9 levels of Tao. Emperor Shao said again, in this world there are many types of Tao, but each kind of Tao has 9 levels of understanding. Every level is incomparably abstruse. You, and numerous warriors who have comprehended Tao, have just stepped across the threshold of Tao. Your comprehension of Tao is very low, let alone the 9 levels. Even the first level is incomparably difficult for you. Even the first level is incomparably difficult. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Yes, Emperor Shao continued, let alone your ancient world, even in the eternal world, a warrior of the skyscraping realm who could completely comprehend the first level of the occult of a Tao is very rare. Those people are really geniuses, even in the eternal world, and many sects would fight to get them. The world prison in front of you could only be broken when the first level of the occult of the world Tao is comprehended completely. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang became silent. According to what Emperor Shao said, the warrior who could comprehend the first level of the occult were top geniuses, even in the eternal world. He, however, had never comprehended the world Tao at all, and was far away from the comprehension of the first level of the occult of the world Tao. What's more important, he only had 3 years. Could he break the world prison in 3 years? Emperor Shao thought too highly of him. Kid, don't worry. I don't expect you to break the world prison in 3 years, but I hope you could try your best to break it. It doesn't matter how much you can achieve. Any comprehension of the first level of the occult of the world Tao is an achievement. Emperor Shao said, That's good. Jian Wushuang let out a sigh of relief. All right, you can go into the world prison and try. Emperor Shao said. Jian Wushuang nodded and then directly stepped into the world prison without hesitation. As soon as Jian Wushuang entered the huge world prison, he immediately sensed the extremely dense world energy, which had become a physical substance according to special laws and thus created the incomparably solid world prison. How magical! How amazing! Jian Wushuang looked around with a sense of astonishment in his eyes. Chapter 611, Comprehension of World Tao. Chapter 611, Comprehension of World Tao. The world prison was composed of world energy. This power would usually be weak and could be dissolved easily by anyone from skyscraping realm. However, the world energy, after it was formed into this special world prison using a unique law of combination, was too solid to destroy. Law. Combination? Jian Wushuang wrinkled his brows in deep concentration while swirls of world energy surged around him. Soon, a palm entirely developed from world energy stretched out abruptly from the stone wall of the world prison. With its fingers spread, the giant palm was trying to take hold of Jian Wushuang at an ultra-high speed, as well as with formidable force. Jian Wushuang was so astounded that he dodged aside hurriedly. As the attacking palm grabbed where he was previously located, a swoosh sounded right away. Such immense power! Before he could even feel stunned, Jian Wushuang realized that behind him there were 3 places where world energy gathered. Whoosh! 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 3 giant palms soon stretched out in succession, jumping wildly out at him. Jian Wushuang did not dare to pause, darting forth all over. Whoosh! 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 More palms formed entirely by world energy flew over. Almost everywhere Jian Wushuang went, there was an attacking palm, providing no respite for him. This is the compulsion of the world prison that Emperor Shao said, isn't it? This is terrifying as it is too persistent and difficult to elude. How would I have time to painstakingly meditate on the world Tao? Jian Wushuang frowned, but soon he discovered something. The world energy contained in these giant palms are so powerful and peculiar. Jian Wushuang dodged through those attacking giant palms while observing them quietly to find out how they were formed. It was a profound application of world energy. World energy can be used in this way. Jian Wushuang immediately was lost in his thoughts. Outside the world prison, Emperor Shao sat on a stone bench in the garden, waiting quietly. In the blink of an eye, 2 days passed. Emperor Shao, who sat on the stone bench, raised his head, glancing up at the world prison. With a smile appearing on his face, he said, "Have you got comprehension of it?" Nodding in appreciation, Emperor Shao said, and his sonorous voice directly reached to the world prison. "Kid, come out." His voice contained some unique magic, as if it could invade one's mind and soul. In the world prison, Jian Wushuang, who had understood world Tao, was still in a state of ecstasy. Suddenly a crack was found by him on the stone wall. He began walking out of the world prison along the crack, and again came before Emperor Shao. "Respected Emperor Shao," Jian Wushuang said respectfully, "you've received a comprehension of world Tao, haven't you?" Emperor Shao smiled and looked at Jian Wushuang. "Yes," Jian Wushuang nodded. "You took only 2 days to comprehend world Tao. Although your enlightenment may have something to do with the world prison, I'd attribute it more to your own perception. You're such a talent that has proved yourself to be the successor of an old friend of mine. His heavenly creation skill not only created in you a perfect foundation, but also helped you improve your comprehension," Emperor Shao continued. "As you've comprehended world Tao, you still have more to improve. Since the world prison is still useful for you, you'd better stay there to meditate for the rest of your time. By the time the Firmament Territory Feast begins, I believe you'll completely break the world prison." "Yes," Jian Wushuang said and seriously nodded. Within just 2 days, he had already seen many strange things in the world prison. The world prison did play a great role in his comprehension of world Tao, much more useful than 6-story pagoda to slaughter Tao. In addition, the comprehension of Tao is only one aspect of strength, and the secret skill is also crucial to the improvement of strength, said Emperor Shao. Jian Wushuang listened to him carefully. The secret skill is a technique that is developed based on the application of weapon Tao after one's comprehension of Tao reaches a certain level. It has various kinds, most of which are used as offensive power. Secret skills have distinctions between strong and weak. In the eternal world, secret skills are divided into plenty of levels according to its power, among which the most common and the weakest one are rank 1 secret skill, which is also what you are now qualified to cultivate. Rank 1 secret skill. Jian Wushuang felt a bit enticed. Rank 1 secret skill is just the most common skill, but for warriors at the level of skyscraping realm, it's totally different when he creates the secret skill. His battle strength would even rise to a new level even if he only creates the most common rank 1 secret skill, Emperor Shao continued. For example, in the ancient world, the Dark Emperor, who is known as the one with number 1 offensive power, has created his secret skill. After the last matchup with him, you must know how strong his secret skill power is, right? Well, Jian Wushuang nodded seriously. The secret skill of Dark Emperor is horribly powerful. Horrible powerful, scorned Emperor Shao. That move created by Dark Emperor is somewhat considered as a secret skill, or it may just reach the threshold of rank 1 secret skill. According to their levels of rank 1 secret skill, i.e., elementary, advanced, and superior, the move created by Dark Emperor narrowly belongs to the elementary level. The elementary narrowly reach its requirements. Jian Wushuang was shocked. He had thought that the move of Dark Emperor was incredibly powerful, but he now found it had just reached the elementary level. So how strong was a real elementary rank 1 secret skill, advanced or even superior level? What about the secret skill beyond rank 1? After all, the time you cultivated until now is too short and there are only 3 years left. You know nothing about secret skill. If you want to create it entirely by yourself, even if you have a high level of talent, I'm afraid it will take a very long time, so. Then Emperor took out an interspatial ring and handed it to Jian Wushuang. Within this interspatial ring, there are a few secret skills, all of which are secret skills of Sword Principle created by warriors of Sword Principle in the Eternal World. You can take these secret skills to research, investigate, and use as references. In this way, you would greatly shorten the time you spend on cultivation. After all, you are not that powerful now. Even though I gave you the secret skill, created by experts of Sword Principle above Eternal Realm, you can't understand it. So the secret skill of Sword Principle within the interspatial ring is mostly created by experts of Sword Principle at the level of Divine Realm. Chapter 6:12. 3 years. Chapter 6:12. 3 years. Taking the interspatial ring from Emperor Shao, Jian Wushuang looked slightly excited. There were so many secret skills of Sword Principle. Even if these secret skills were created by warriors of Sword Principle at the level of Skyscraping Realm and Divine Realm, any secret skill of Sword Principle was so mysterious to Jian Wushuang. After all, he could never create a secret skill himself. These secret skills of Sword Principle were extremely useful to him. In addition to these secret skills of Sword Principle, I will give you 10 opportunities to receive my instruction in the next 3 years. If you don't have a clear understanding of World Tao or secret skills of Sword Principle, you can turn to me. However, you only have 10 opportunities, so you should make good use of them. Emperor Shao said, I see. Thank you so much for your guidance. Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised with deep feeling through his burning eyes. Emperor Shao was at the peak of the eternal world. Now he promised Jian Wushuang to instruct him 10 times. These 10 opportunities that Emperor Shao agreed to give him. Even if there was only one opportunity, countless geniuses and experts in the eternal world would fight over it. Go ahead. Emperor Shao waved his hand. Jian Wushuang gave a bow to Emperor Shao, turned and headed to the world prison. Emperor Shao looked at Jian Wushuang, sweeping into the world prison as a smile slowly grew on his face. This little fellow was born with a high aptitude. Also, he has built himself a perfect foundation by cultivating heavenly creation skill, so his perception has been enhanced greatly. 3 years for others is just a passing moment, while it is enough for him to improve his strength. The only thing that I'm not sure about is how far he can go. Emperor Shao smiled slightly. Emperor Shao gave him so many resources and even personal advice. Such a rare opportunity could help ordinary people improve greatly in 3 years, let alone a super genius like Jian Wushuang. In the world prison, the giant hands entirely formed by world energy flew wildly over Jian Wushuang. As Jian Wushuang gradually comprehended World Tao, these giant hands became more powerful at an increasingly faster speed. The attacks almost drove him to desperation. The respected Emperor Shao was always good to me, and he offered me so many opportunities. These 3 years are absolutely a great chance for me. I will never waste a second of these 3 years, racking my brain to improve myself as much as possible. As for how far I can go eventually, it all depends 3 years later. Jian Wushuang's eyes twinkled with ambition. From this day on, Jian Wushuang began working on his cultivation earnestly. His cultivation of world body was separated from that of slaughter body. The world body, staying at the world prison, improved world Tao with the help of world prison. At the same time, his interspatial ring inside possessed many manuals of Sword Principle concerning world Tao. He could meditate on the world Tao while studying those manuals. If he encountered some bottlenecks or had no way to proceed, he would get out from the world prison to ask Emperor Shao. Emperor Shao was the supreme being in the eternal world, and he was also good at applying world Tao. Although secret skill of sword principle wasn't the strong point of Emperor Shao, it was more than enough to direct Jian Wushuang. On the other hand, the slaughter body of Jian Wushuang was sent by Di Jing to a place called Slaughter Zone, where there were numerous minds and souls that had been slaughtered and invaded thoroughly into experts of sword principle of crazy demon. These crazy demons began attacking him immediately when they saw him. Jian Wushuang did nothing but put up a desperate fight. In the following days, his slaughter body, which was inside the slaughter zone, continued waging an intense fight with them nearly every day. What his interspatial ring possessed was also the secret skill of sword principle created by many warriors of sword principle at the level of Cloud Realm and Divine Realm given by Emperor Shao. These secret skills of sword principle were all aimed at Slaughter Tao. Also, with the assistance of Six-Story Pagoda, his slaughter Tao enhanced at an extremely high speed. The two original bodies, which stayed in different places, were inspired by different Taos and explored different secret skills of sword principle without being affected by each other. With the combination of such a unique and rare cultivation environment and his talented perception, Jian Wushuang's strength improved at an amazing rate. As spring went and autumn came, time rolled on. In a flash, 3 years passed. In the huge garden, Emperor Shao sat on a bamboo chair reading a thread-bound book alone. This thread-bound book was just a travel book written by a man at the level of skyscraping realm in the ancient world, who traveled around the plane world. The book described some of his experiences in each plane world. Logically, a man at the level of skyscraping realm was nothing but a worm to Emperor Shao. But the travel book written by him was very appealing to Emperor Shao. 1 hour went by in a blink of an eye. Emperor Shao finally closed the book and put it into his interspatial ring. Then his eyes couldn't help but turn to the world prison beside him. In these 3 years, the little guy has made much progress. He is a true successor of my old friend. Emperor Shao praised secretly. In the past 3 years, he had witnessed every improvement Jian Wushuang made and clearly knew how much work he had put in. Unfortunately, he still can't completely break the world prison. Emperor Shao was slightly disappointed. If Jian Wushuang could break his world prison in this 3-year period, it would be really perfect. But he knew that Jian Wushuang had to multitask to meditate the secret skill of sword principle within the 3 years. It was quite incredible for him to achieve what he had, so it was not necessary to require more of him. Just then, with a sudden change of his expression, Emperor Shao immediately looked towards the void, where the interspace began abruptly twisting and turning. Soon a gorgeous yet cold figure slowly walked out from the twisting interspace, showing up before Emperor Shao. It was a white-robed woman. She was elegantly beautiful with a breathing-taking coldness. Also, she was very cold, causing the surrounding environment to appear to freeze into chilly ice as long as she showed up. Father, the white-robed woman looked at Emperor Shao and leaned slightly. She was Emperor Zhao's daughter with such a gorgeous and cold vibe. Undoubtedly, this delicately beautiful woman was Lung Rushuang. You're back. Emperor Shao looked at Lung Rushuang, apathetic. I have come to say goodbye to you, father. I suppose I won't come back again. Lung Rushuang said, as her voice sounded steady. Emperor Zhao's face became abruptly severe. Goodbye? Anything else? Yes, Lung Rushuang nodded smilingly. It is mother. She personally commanded me. Before Lung Rushuang had finished speaking, Emperor Shao waved his hand and clapped the chair violently. The chair, which was obviously made of some unique materials, reduced into dust. Ms. Lung? That bitch? Emperor Zhao's voice sounded in anger. Chapter 613. Comprehension of the First Occult Level. Chapter 613. Comprehension of the First Occult Level. "That bitch must be crazy," said Emperor Shao, with anger burning in his eyes. Lung Rushuang remained silent when she heard that. At this moment, Lung Rushuang noticed the world prison beside her. At the same time, she also noticed the existence of Jian Wushuang in the world prison. "Is he inside?" With complexity flashing through her face, Lung Rushuang walked towards the world prison. In the world prison, Jian Wushuang was sitting there alone. Numerous giant hands formed into an offensive force, mounting an attack on him. When this force almost approached him, an immaterial power, however, gushed forth from his body, smashing those giant hands easily. For 3 years, his world body had been staying in the world prison. With his continuous improvement of the world Tao, it became easier and easier to cope with the attacks from the world prison. Up to now, there was only one last step from completely breaking the world prison. "I have a vague sense that I've reached the last step, but I still need to work hard to obtain full comprehension of it," Jian Wushuang frowned. According to Emperor Shao, only by fully understanding the first occult level of world Tao could he completely break the world prison. Now, it seemed that he was still a little short of fully mastering the first occult level. "Jian Wushuang." A cold voice suddenly sounded. Jian Wushuang was so familiar with this voice. He immediately looked up at the void at front and saw a gorgeous, fairy-like woman stood there, with a proud, aloof air of nonchalance. He was mesmerized by her every movement. There was only one such beautiful and cold woman in this world. "I haven't seen you for many years. How are you, Miss Lung?" Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised to see Lung Rushuang again. "I'm going to leave the ancient world, and I'll probably never come back," Lung Rushuang said directly. "Really?" Jian Wushuang's brows knitted in thought. She would leave soon and never come back. "I have been staying for a long time in the ancient world, and you are the only person here that I've been acquainted with. Or I should say, we're somewhat friends. Before leaving here, I want to play you a song to remember how we got to know each other." Lung Rushuang took a deep look at Jian Wushuang, and then a white jade chair appeared behind her. Lung Rushuang slowly sat down, and then an ancient zither with a pattern of dragon and phoenix appeared before her. This scene made Jian Wushuang narrow his eyes. Unique and marvelous, Lung Rushuang's melody exerted profound and far-reaching abilities. During his stay in Tang Dynasty, Jian Wushuang still remembered it when he met Lung Rushuang for the first time. When he lived in her nature residence that month, Lung Rushuang played her zither every day. Influenced by her melody, he had taken several big steps forward within that 1 month. Now, Lung Rushuang began playing again. Taking a deep breath, Jian Wushuang immediately concentrated on it. After a few moments of silence, Lung Rushuang's jade-like fingers slowly plucked the strings. Such a heavenly melody, with magical powers, resounded throughout the world prison, holding a particular fascination for Jian Wushuang, who had been focused in it for a long time. The pleasant melody continued to ring. Melodious, but slightly sad, it put a bleaker spin on the whole world. Closing his eyes, he knit his eyebrows slightly. He could feel the sadness and desolation carried by this beautiful melody, as well as a touch of frustration. Also, the melody contained marvelous power that attracted Jian Wushuang to keep thinking in the world Tao regardless. He had still been a little confused about the first occult level of world Tao, but now he was suddenly enlightened and came to an understanding. There was nothing but silence in the world prison. That magnificent melody slowly stopped. Closing his eyes, Jian Wushuang stood there. As the attacking giant hands had already quieted down, he was involved in the insight of comprehension. Before him, Lung Rushuang had put her zither away, standing up and taking a deep look at Jian Wushuang. Then she disappeared immediately with her body flashing past the world prison. In the huge garden, Emperor Shao stood there with his hands behind the back. That beautiful yet lofty figure gave him a bow and turned around, backing towards the wormhole and disappearing without a trace. At the sight of this scene, Emperor Zhao's face grew gloomy. He clasped his hands, and his body was shaking slowly. Nobody had clue what he was thinking. Buzzing. At this moment, the world prison established entirely by world energy suddenly began to tremble violently. What happened? Emperor Shao immediately looked in the direction of world prison. As the world prison had been created by him, he knew about everything happened within the prison. That little fellow could make such a breakthrough. With the melody played by Rushuang, he even obtained the full comprehension of the first occult level of world Tao. Under the gaze of Emperor Shao, that steady and unbreakable world prison was abruptly affected by another world energy and then began falling apart. In a blink of an eye, the world prison had completely melted into world energy, vanishing from the world. A figure in a black robe stood in the middle of the world prison. The world prison is simply a means of applying world energy. Before this, I thought the combination of world energy was extremely intriguing, but now I don't think it is something of a mystery when I fully understood the first occult level of world Tao, said Jian Wushuang, feeling a bit of excitement. This world prison was an application of world Tao. As Jian Wushuang had realized the first occult level of world Tao, he could also create a world prison of the same quality if he wanted. But the world prison created by him was weaker in range and intensity than that of Emperor Shao. Anyway, I've thoroughly understood the first occult level of world Tao, said Jian Wushuang with a brief smile. I should thank Lung Rushuang for her help. Without her melody, it wouldn't be that easy for me to understand the occult level. Well, where is Lung Rushuang? Jian Wushuang looked around for her, but found nothing but Emperor Shao. Hey, kid! Emperor Shao shouted to him at the middle of the garden. Emperor Shao! Jian Wushuang came before Emperor Shao and asked, Is she gone? Chapter 614. One Step Towards Heaven. Chapter 614. One Step Towards Heaven. I'm off. Emperor Shao nodded slightly. Take your time. Jian Wushuang frowned. As far as he knew, it had been a long time since Lung Rushuang left the ancient world. She might just come back one day, but she didn't stay for long and had left immediately, leaving only a greeting behind. Anything happened? Jian Wushuang thought. Just now, he also heard a dismal, sorrowful, and helpless emotion from the zither. Perhaps something did happen to Lung Rushuang. Hey, kid, you're worried about my daughter, aren't you? Emperor Shao suddenly looked at Jian Wushuang. In a daze for a second, Jian Wushuang nodded slowly and said, Miss Lung is a friend of mine and she helped me before, so I would obviously be concerned about her safety. That's all. Emperor Shao took a deep look at Jian Wushuang and continued, You're lucky, little fellow. My daughter was born with an icy heart body, with which she has been aloof by nature and barely has any emotions. Such a cold personality resulted in only a few people being able to talk with her, even though she has lots of servants in the eternal world. As for friends, since my daughter's birth, no one has ever been recognized as her friend by her. You are the first and only one. What? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Lung Rushuang, since her birth, never had a single friend she talked with. Maybe it's because you've helped her transform icy heart poison in her body, or there's something on your body, or a certain temperament that attracts her. Anyway, you are her first friend indeed. Emperor Shao said, Little fellow, although my daughter had numerous genius pursuers in Eternal World, she never spoke with them. But you could make friends with her. Wouldn't it be lucky? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you must grasp it. Emperor Zhao's words confounded Jian Wushuang. It was true that Lung Rushuang was his friend, but it seemed that Emperor Shao wanted their relationship to push forward. Well, let's forget it. Now the most urgent thing is the Firmament Territory Feast. Emperor Shao became firm. In 2 days, the Firmament Territory Feast will be held. It would be great if you can fully master the first occult level of World Tao before the feast. You must make a breakthrough. Breakthrough. Jian Wushuang could not help but smile. Only warriors who achieved the level of skyscraping realm were qualified to participate in that Firmament Territory Feast. Jian Wushuang now, however, merely attained the level of 9-Cloud Realm. Before the Firmament Territory Feast began, he naturally hoped to break through and to take the first step of the heaven-defying 4 steps. The first volume of Heavenly Creation Skill is only for building a perfect foundation. That heaven-defying 4 steps is the real beginning of cultivation. Now you have already reached perfection in all aspects, and with the accumulation of these 3 years, your understanding of Tao has been greatly improved. It should not be difficult to take that step, said Emperor Shao. Sure, Jian Wushuang nodded in absolute confidence. Now he had already reached and even exceeded the requirements of the first step. Just in a moment, the slaughter body of Jian Wushuang arrived with Dijing. In the past 3 years, Jian Wushuang had made the greatest progress in World Tao. Most incredibly, he even directly obtained a thorough understanding of the first occult level of World Tao. His slaughter Tao, directed by Dijing, had also made amazing progress. Not as fast as the World Tao, Slaughter Body has nearly obtained the full understanding of the first occult level of Slaughter Tao in the past 3 years. Showing up together, the 2 original bodies, World Body and Slaughter Body, fused into one body. Then Jian Wushuang began making breakthroughs in the castle. Everything went smoothly, while Jian Wushuang wasn't impeded during the process of breaking through. Only half a day later, great changes had taken place in the body and spiritual power of Jian Wushuang. Heaven-treading realm, the first step of heaven-defying 4 steps, had been achieved. Stepping into heaven-treading realm, which corresponded with the skyscraping realm for ordinary warriors, Jian Wushuang realized that there was something different between the 2. Incredible. It was incredible. Jian Wushuang widened his eyes full of shock. He had previously speculated that heaven-treading realm, the first step of heaven-defying 4 steps, differed from the skyscraping realm of ordinary warriors. After so many guesses, Jian Wushuang was completely stunned when he knew the truth. The biggest difference between heaven-treading realm and skyscraping realm of ordinary warriors lay in one's talent rather than their flesh, spiritual power, or anything else. Yes, it is talent. As soon as heaven-treading realm was reached, Jian Wushuang immediately found that his comprehension was significantly enhanced, much higher than before at the level of 9-Cloud Realm. At least several times, even 10 times improved. This is real talent in comprehension. Maybe he had improved much in the period of heaven-treading realm. Once he took the second step, deification realm, his talent in comprehension would be weakened, but at present he did improve. When Jian Wushuang tried to meditate on the World Tao or Slaughter Tao, he discovered that his comprehension was a good 12 times faster than before. 1 day of meditation now was equal to 10 days before. Heaven-defying realm. This is truly the heaven-defying realm. Even Jian Wushuang sucked in a breath directly and only managed to calm down after a protracted pause. Now it seems that heaven-treading realm will be my highest talent and fastest cultivation stage. I'm afraid that cultivation will not be that speedy when I take the second step in the future. Jian Wushuang murmured. He also knew that in heavenly creation skill, any kind of unique ability would only strengthen one's realm and would be weakened when another breakthrough occurred. Like the first volume of heavenly creation skill, the ability would be weakened once primordial gold core was achieved. Unfortunately, I couldn't reach the heaven-treading realm 3 years ago. Otherwise, after 3 years of hard work, my strength would be improved a lot. Jian Wushuang thought, feeling regret secretly. After completely calming himself down, Jian Wushuang came before Emperor Shao. It seems that the breakthrough went very smoothly, didn't it? Emperor Shao looked at Jian Wushuang with a slight smile and asked, "You've achieved the first step. How does it feel? Anything unique?" Although Emperor Shao knew the magic of heavenly creation skill, he did not know what unique ability heaven-defying 4 steps had. Jian Wushuang hesitated for a moment, didn't conceal anything, and directly announced the truth that he had made improvements in his talent of comprehension. Chapter 615, To the Eternal World. Chapter 615, To the Eternal World. Talent in Comprehension. Emperor Shao was aghast that Jian Wushuang had improved his talent in comprehension significantly. Such a fantastic skill. It's possible to build a perfect foundation by working hard. However, the innate talent, how could the heavenly creation skill change it? Emperor Shao gasped in admiration. The foundation could be built with hard work, but innate talent was born. It was possible to build a perfect foundation by working hard, but to change one's talent in comprehension. Emperor Shao thought it was beyond logic. Since you have made the breakthrough, say goodbye to your friends before you leave. It may be years before you can return. Emperor Shao said, "Okay." Jian Wushuang nodded and left. Jian Wushuang didn't go back to the Nanyang continent as he had already settled his matters there. In a huge black castle, 3 people sat at a table which held jugs of wine. Their intention was clear: to get thoroughly drunk. The trio consisted of Jian Wushuang, Yang Zishuan, and Wang Yuan. "Third bro, let's drink our body weight in wine. I've brought the best from my collection," Wang Yuan said, pretending that he could not bear to part with his best wine. "It's a rare chance. Let's have a good drink today," Jian Wushuang said with a laugh. Jian Wushuang had met Wang Yuan not long after he returned to the Black Castle. Wang Yuan had lost considerable weight over the recent years. He had been heavy-set, but he now had a more average appearance. It was because he had been working hard in recent years. During these years, Wang Yuan had been learning alchemy from a mysterious alchemist who did not seem to be from the ancient world. The alchemist was strong and skilled, but bad-tempered. Under his tutelage, Wang Yuan had suffered. "I wish 4th sister was here," Wang Yuan said with a sigh. 4th sister. Jian Wushuang recalled the shy girl, Su Ro. Su Ro had a unique body. After her body had awakened in the Nanyang continent, she had been taken away by a mysterious expert. None of them knew where she had been taken. Jian Wushuang had asked Emperor Shao about Su Ro and his father, but Emperor Shao had refused to tell him, saying that Jian Wushuang would know when it was the right time. Jian Wushuang couldn't do anything about it. "Third bro, the eternal world is more dangerous than the ancient world. Be careful," Wang Yuan warned him. "It's a pity that my master has a task for me. Otherwise, I would get an ancient world token to attend the firmament territory feast with you," Yang Zishuan said. Jian Wushuang smiled in acknowledgement. During these 3 years, he had become familiar with Yang Zishuan's strength. The latter was strong enough to attend the firmament territory feast. But as he was Emperor Zhao's personal disciple, he had been tasked to do something else. "Don't worry. I experienced so much alone in the Divine Land, I know how to protect myself," Jian Wushuang reassured them with a smile. Inwardly, he cautioned himself not to be complacent. He knew that the eternal world was not the Divine Land. They drank and talked for the entire night. The next morning, Emperor Shao, Di Jing, Yang Zishuan, and Wang Yuan stood in the Black Castle's garden. They looked at Jian Wushuang. This was the day that Jian Wushuang would leave the ancient world. "Master Emperor Shao, the Sword Marquis Mansion is counting on you," Jian Wushuang said. "Set your heart at rest. I will protect the Sword Marquis Mansion," Emperor Shao said. Thank you so much, Emperor Shao, Jian Wushuang said with a bow. He trusted Emperor Shao. Under Emperor Zhao's secret protection, no one in the ancient world would be able to destroy the Sword Marquis Mansion. Right at this moment, the ancient world token in Jian Wushuang's hand suddenly shone and emitted a surge of power. In the next instant, clouds gathered and the wind blew. Has it begun? Jian Wushuang raised his head and saw a portal above him. The portal contained a special aura. This was Jian Wushuang's second time experiencing it. In his previous experience, Su Ming had crumbled the pledge in the Darkness Temple, and Shuiyang, a divine realm expert of the Universal Thunder Sect, had emerged from a portal. The aura in that portal was the same as today's. Jian Wushuang knew that it was the aura of the eternal world. Taking a deep breath, Jian Wushuang looked at them and said, "Goodbye, everyone!" "Bye." Emperor Shao waved. "Third bro, take care." Wang Yuan and Yang Zishuan said in unison. Jian Wushuang nodded and looked around. Ancient world, divine land, and Nanyang continent. Bye. Then Jian Wushuang jumped and flew into the portal. Soon he disappeared and the portal closed. Emperor Shao and the rest who remained behind looked at one another. "The eternal world, I'm coming." Jian Wushuang had left. He had left the ancient world. Perhaps he would return, but that would be years later. His heroic deeds would be celebrated in every corner of the ancient world. Chapter 616, The Eternal World. Chapter 616, The Eternal World. The eternal world was vast. It was full of experts and killers. Survival would be a more difficult endeavor in this world. Firmament territory was considered a huge territory in the eternal world, and it controlled millions of ancient worlds. There were many warriors in the ancient world, but they were far weaker than those in the eternal world. Warriors in the ancient world could only reach the skyscraping realm. The divine realm was inaccessible to them. To become stronger, they had to go to the eternal world. Usually, the only way in was to get an ancient world token and attend the Firmament Territory Feast, which was held every 3,000 years. Firmament Territory Feast was the biggest gathering in the Firmament Territory. It was a dream destination for geniuses. Each Firmament Territory Feast would attract innumerable geniuses, which included skyscraping realm experts from both the ancient world and the Firmament Territory. If their displays of talent and potential at the Firmament Territory Feast were appreciated by Firmament Territory's top sects, they would receive many resources and treasures. Today was the opening day of the Firmament Territory Feast. Geniuses had come in great numbers. Among the ancient worlds, husband, father, master. An armor-clad and strapping middle-aged man with sword-shaped eyebrows was saying goodbye to his family and friends. His name was Feng. He was a born fighter and peerless genius. He had reached the peak in this ancient world with his unique gift in less than 100 years. He had been unbeatable in this ancient world 1,500 years ago. There were many skyscraping realm experts, and several had created their own secret skills in this ancient world, but he was known as the strongest expert. If the skyscraping realm experts with secret skills banded together, they would still be no match for him. He had remained unbeatable for a long time. He had also spared no effort to elevate his son and other relations to the skyscraping realm. His entire life appeared perfect. Many experts in this ancient world respected and admired him, but only he knew that he had felt lonely for 1,500 years. To have no rival was lonely. He had been suffering from loneliness for 1,500 years. Today, the Firmament Territory Feast would begin. His inner flame flared up again. "I will be back. It wouldn't take long." After saying goodbye to them, Feng waved and flew into the portal. In another ancient world, a white-haired elder stood at the top of a mountain, looking up at the portal above him. The eternal world. His eyes were filled with frenzied excitement. He stepped forward in his bare white feet. The white-haired man entered the portal. No one noticed that the expert, who had suffered from loneliness in this ancient world for 2,000 years, had left. This white-haired elder was Huang. There was a myth in this ancient world that Huang was unbeatable. 800 years ago, Huang had disappeared. All thought that he had died or left. In fact, he had concealed his identity and meditated alone in the mountains for all these years. That was because nothing in the ancient world held his interest. Today, he left with the ancient world token. Feng and Huang were top geniuses who had been alone for years in their respective ancient worlds. The Firmament Territory Feast would be their chance for new adventures. In these ancient worlds, there were many people like them. The Firmament Territory Feast was held every 3,000 years, which was a long time for people in ancient worlds. People like Feng and Huang were considered lucky, unlike most of the others. Some had no ancient world token. Even more tragically, some managed to obtain tokens, but died before the Firmament Territory Feast. Only a few of them eventually made it to the Firmament Territory Feast. The Firmament Territory Feast was a very rare opportunity for them. No one would miss it. They arrived at a vast drill ground. Its gem ground was transparent, a sight that no one from the ancient worlds had seen before. People arrived at the drill ground in succession. Soon, at least 100,000 people had gathered there. The arrivals included men and women of all ages who were dressed differently. All of them looked around curiously after arriving at the drill ground. In the crowd, a black-robed young man with a long sword on his back surveyed his surroundings. "Is this the eternal world?" Jian Wushuang frowned. He noticed that the eternal world was different from the ancient world. Such a stable space. Jian Wushuang touched the air and found that the space was much more stable than that of the ancient world. In the ancient world, Dark Emperor's secret skill could produce a space rift, and Shuiyang could heavily damage the space with simple moves. But the eternal world was different. The space of the eternal world was much more stable. Jian Wushuang was much stronger than Dark Emperor now, but he knew that he couldn't do any harm to this space, even if he were 100 or 1,000 times stronger. Chapter 617, A Sea of Geniuses. Chapter 617, A Sea of Geniuses. Moreover, Jian Wushuang realized that the spiritual power and origin energy in the eternal world were much richer. The origin energy was at least 100 times richer than that of the ancient world. Jian Wushuang had cultivated the 4th level of the Earth Core Palace in the Monster Continent. Compared with the eternal world, the origin energy there was also much weaker. However, this was just an ordinary place in the eternal world. The ancient world is incomparable to the eternal world. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Just like the disparity between Nanyang Continent and the Divine Land, the difference between the ancient world and the eternal world was beyond words. The skyscraping realm experts from ancient worlds around Jian Wushuang looked around and gasped in admiration. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang saw a man he knew, Dark Emperor. Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had spotted Dark Emperor, a black-robed man with a cold face. Jian Wushuang had met him before. Dark Emperor noticed Jian Wushuang too. He walked towards Jian Wushuang, accompanied by a black-skinned elder with a frail and thin frame. Jian Wushuang recognized the elder. Dark Emperor, Sir Ming. As Jian Wushuang looked at them, a smile spread on his face. Dark Emperor had done him a favor when Jian Wushuang was dealing with Su Ming. There were no grudges between the two of them, although Jian Wushuang disliked Dark Emperor's selfishness. He was happy to meet an expert who came from the same ancient world. Sir Ming was a top expert as famous as Dark Emperor. As they came from the same ancient world, the trio naturally stuck together. "Are you Jian Wushuang?" I've heard of you. Sir Ming looked Jian Wushuang. It's my honor to be known by you. Jian Wushuang smiled. We are in the eternal world. Just call us by our names. My name is Ming Lu. Sir Ming said. Call me Wu Xan. I will be in trouble if anyone here wants to kill me just because he dislikes the name of Dark Emperor. Dark Emperor said. Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang was surprised. Dark Emperor and Sir Ming were the unbridled top 2 experts in their ancient world. However, they seemed cautious and did not dare to use their titles in the eternal world. It seems that only the 3 of us from our ancient world made it here to the Firmament Territory Feast. Dark Emperor commented as he looked around and realized that he didn't know anyone else. There was another drill ground, but fewer people were gathered there. Is that another drill ground over there? I guess, people, there are geniuses of the eternal world. Geniuses of the eternal world. Unlike them, people on the other drill ground were familiar with the eternal world. They cast occasional glances at the ancient world visitors. Those glances were full of disdain. It was clear that the geniuses of the eternal world looked down on them. The eternal world geniuses had an innate sense of superiority because the ancient worlds were plane worlds at a lower level, while the eternal world had the dominant position of heavenly laws. A super expert in our ancient world once reached eternal realm in the eternal world. When he returned, he said that the gap between the eternal world and the ancient world was huge. A purple-clothed elder in the crowd spoke aloud. People in the eternal world are born in particularly favorable natural conditions. Regardless of their talent, warriors will reach skyscraping realm and comprehend Tao within 100 years. Those who are talented can make it in decades. That's a built-in advantage we don't have. His words caused a great stir in the crowd. In the eternal world, no matter how little talent warriors had, they could easily reach skyscraping realm within 100 years. But in the ancient world, only a few could reach skyscraping realm. In the divine land where Jian Wushuang came from, only 3 had reached skyscraping realm. They were the 3 ancestors. Warriors in ancient worlds had to accumulate plenty of experience before they could even hope for an opportunity to reach skyscraping realm. However, skyscraping realm experts in the eternal world were common. Comparisons are odious. Many were complaining. Even the most ordinary places in the eternal world possess spiritual power and origin energy at levels 100 times that of the ancient world. With such an environment for cultivation, of course they're stronger than us. Dark Emperor muttered with dissatisfaction. They should look down on us. We are much weaker. Jian Wushuang thought. It is only because they have a better cultivating environment. We will be no weaker than them in future. Ming Lu was unwilling to concede. The skyscraping realm experts of the ancient worlds continued to discuss. They felt uncomfortable under the watch of those disdainful eyes. Right then, boom! A powerful force suddenly arose from the drill ground where the geniuses of the eternal world had gathered. Chapter 618, Excitement. Chapter 618, Excitement. Oh, Yang Xian, bastard, I found you. At the drill ground where the geniuses of the eternal world were gathered, a shout sounded. A white-robed young man was aggressively brandishing his long gold spear. The power had burst out from the long gold spear. The long spear glittered with gold and shone like the sun. It immediately drew the attention of all the warriors. That spear move! Audible gasps were heard around the ancient world camp as warriors saw the spear. His secret skill is so terrifying. Dark Emperor narrowed his eyes and Ming Lu stiffened. Jian Wushuang also couldn't help looking at the man. He perfectly mastered a pure light Tao. The spearmanship he displayed was an advanced, rank 1 secret skill that he created himself. Jian Wushuang surmised. The man being attacked was a well-groomed young man holding a folding fan. As the white-robed man approached him, The young man lightly waved his folding fan in the air. As he turned his hand, waves erupted. The white-robed man's spear was engulfed by the waves, and its power was quickly weakened. Soon its attack was neutralized. What? That's it. He defused it with such a slight move. People of the ancient world camp cried out in astonishment. They had thought that the white-robed man was strong because of his deep Tao comprehension and his powerful secret skill. But on seeing the well-groomed man's move, they realized that he was much stronger. He has a high comprehension of water-drop Tao. He has nearly completed the occult in the first level. Jian Wushuang thought. After defusing the white-robed man's attack, the well-groomed man made another move, which seemed languid and simple. But as the folding fan moved, a storm of terrible sword essence was released. Whoosh! Almost instantaneously, a sparkling sword light reached the white-robed man from over 30 meters away. The white-robed man looked grave when he saw the incoming attack. He immediately thrust his long spear, and it rushed forward like a golden dragon. Bang! The two forces collided with great force. Geniuses of the eternal world standing nearby dodged as its impact reverberated through the immediate area. The impact of the collision continued to rush to the ground but caused it no harm. In the air, the white-robed man gave a choked cry and stepped back in confusion. His right hand, which held the long spear, trembled slightly. "Kill me? You're not strong enough," the well-groomed man said with a smile. His voice was like a warm and gentle breeze. The white-robed man's eyes blazed angrily and bitterly. He had already been defeated. So strong! These two men are terrible. Especially the well-groomed man, he simultaneously comprehended water drop, Tao, and Gale Tao, both at high levels. He has also created a powerful secret skill. He is much more powerful than me. The skyscraping realm warriors of the ancient world camp looked at them in shock. They had witnessed every detail of the clash. That was why they were shocked. They were so strong, stronger than most of them. God, how could they be so strong? Dark Emperor was despaired inwardly. He had created his own secret skill. Therefore, he had been confident that he was better than average among the skyscraping realm warriors in the ancient world camp. Just now, he had been angry at receiving disdainful glances from the geniuses of the eternal world. He had thought that their pride was unjustified. Now he knew that they really were very strong. Either of the two men could defeat or kill him easily. They were stronger than him in Tao comprehension and secret skills. He did not even have the courage to fight them. Furthermore, they were just two ordinary warriors among the eternal world's geniuses. He could tell from their playful smiles. The well-groomed man was stronger, but he was not necessarily ranked in the top 10. Are they geniuses of the eternal world? Jian Wushuang muttered as he looked at the two men with blazing eyes. He had reached a new stage after 3 years of earnest cultivation. He had lost interest fighting Dark Emperor, Minglu, or people like them. He was now more interested in challenging the geniuses of the eternal world. Having witnessed their fight, Jian Wushuang's heart surged with excitement and battle intent. Several other geniuses in the ancient world camp had the same sentiments as Jian Wushuang. Eternal world, this is the eternal world. Experts and geniuses are as numerous as clouds. Everyone here is no weaker than me. I'm expecting to fight them. People like Feng, Huaying, and Jian Wushuang felt excitement instead of fear. They had been unrivaled for too many years. Now they had rivals. Chapter 619, Battle of the Geniuses. Chapter 619, Battle of the Geniuses. Everyone's attention was drawn to these two men who had abruptly started to fight. "You too, what are you doing?" A cold voice echoed through the area. A figure appeared and hovered between the two drill grounds. The new arrival was a burly middle-aged man who was filled with killing intent and emitted a terrifying aura. His appearance drew shock from the warriors, including the white-robed man and the well-groomed man who had been fighting. This man directed his aura towards them, making it hard for them to catch their breath, as though they were pinned down by a huge mountain. "My lord," he started the fight. "I have to defend myself, right?" The well-groomed man responded. The middle-aged man noticed the white-robed man's belligerent expression and instantly realized what had happened. During the Firmament Territory Feast, everyone is banned from fighting, except in certain places. Since you flouted that rule, you will be disqualified from taking part in the feast. Get out of here." As the man's words faded, an immaterial power assaulted the white-robed man. He did not even have a chance to defend himself and was instantly thrown out of the drill ground. "Oh, Yang Xian, I can't accept it, I can't." Everyone at the drill grounds could hear his howls clearly. Eventually, those sounds faded and finally died out. "Listen, the Firmament Territory Feast is held by numerous sects in the Firmament Territory. It is a grand feast with strict rules. Just now, I administered the minimum punishment, but from now on, whoever breaks the rules will be killed without mercy." The middle-aged man's voice echoed coldly. The geniuses and warriors in the skyscraping realm level were shocked by this threat and naturally did not intend to violate the rules. The middle-aged man swept his gaze over the gathered crowd and continued. "The feast is held every 3,000 years and is the grandest genius feast in the Firmament Territory. I know all of you come from different places. Some hail from the eternal world, but more of you are from the ancient world. However, during the feast, everyone is equal. We will only focus on your talent and strength. As long as your talent and strength are good enough, you will have a chance to join the top sects here. So the key point is that we will only judge you by your talent and strength." Hearing this, the geniuses and warriors clasped their hands together in anticipation. There are 4 rounds in the Firmament Territory Feast. After each round, most of you will have been eliminated. The stronger are, the higher your chances of joining a sect. The first round of the genius battle will begin in an hour. You should prepare for it now. After his announcement, the middle-aged man closed his eyes and ignored the geniuses on the drill ground. The crowd stirred. 4 rounds of the genius battle. What will they be like? Many warriors were curious. "Although I'm not sure what the genius battle is like, an elder from the ancient world said that the first round is very important. It'd be good if we could pass that round. The big sects might not be interested in us, but we could hope to become outer disciples in some small sects," a purple-haired elder said. "Outer disciples. So, you mean we can only be outer disciples in small sects if we pass the first round?" Many in the crowd frowned. Being an outer disciple just didn't compare with being an inner disciple, especially if one belonged to a small sect. The geniuses and warriors gathered here for the Firmament Territory Feast wanted to join the top sects. Joining a stronger sect would mean access to more cultivation resources and more room to cultivate and improve. Being only an outer disciple in a small sect would not satisfy most of the warriors. It's already an impressive achievement to become an outer disciple in a small sect. The elder mentioned that most people from the ancient world did not even manage to join a small sect. Instead, they wandered in the Firmament Territory when the feast was over. "It's very dangerous here, and it'll be hard to survive if you don't have the protection of a sect," the purple-haired elder said and sneered. Those who lacked confidence in their strength reacted visibly to this revelation. They knew that the purple-haired elder was right. They had just arrived here and were unfamiliar with the eternal world. They were also not strong enough. Without the protection from a sect, they would barely survive here. "Anyway, we need to pass the first round at the very least. I'm not holding out hope for the other rounds, but I have to pass the first one. At a minimum, I'll have to pass the first round. Then I can try my best to pass as many of the subsequent rounds." The warriors from the ancient world stood with their hands clasped together as they made their resolutions for the feast. Soon 1 hour passed. The middle-aged man, hovering in the void, opened his eyes and waved his hand. A huge wormhole appeared at the perimeter of each drill ground. The battlefield of the first round is inside the wormhole, the man bellowed. For the first round, we will separate the ancient world and the eternal world. So there are 2 battlefields and 2 wormholes. One is for the ancient world and the other is for the eternal world. These 2 battlefields won't have any connection. The warriors from the ancient world camp were relieved on hearing that. So, in the first round, we are not going to fight with the geniuses from the eternal world. These geniuses from the eternal world have more cultivation resources, and they should be much stronger than us. Luckily, we are not going to fight them just yet. In this case, I think I stand a good chance to pass the first round. Chapter 620, Round 1 Rules. Chapter 620, Round 1 Rules. Having witnessed the ferocious fight between the 2 geniuses from the eternal world earlier, the ancient world warriors were relieved that they wouldn't fight eternal world warriors in the first round. Of course, while some were glad, others were disappointed. They are going to separate us in the first round. What a pity. It seems I'll only have a chance to challenge the geniuses from the eternal world in the second round. It will be very boring if there are no the eternal world geniuses in the first round. The warriors who expressed disappointment were confident of their strength. They thought they were the real geniuses. For instance, Jian Wushuang was one of the warriors who felt that the first round would be unchallenging. Now, all of you can enter the wormhole, the middle-aged man said. The geniuses and warriors rushed into their respective wormholes without hesitating. The entry into the wormhole was relatively uneventful for the geniuses from the eternal world. For the ancient world, tens of thousands of people swarmed into the wormhole like locusts. Jian Wushuang also stepped into the wormhole without any hesitation. Soon, he found that he was on a vast plain with a dense jungle, some high mountains and rivers. Jian Wushuang glanced around the plain and noticed people standing near him. All of these people were at the skyscraping realm in the ancient world. They had just stepped into the wormhole and were very curious about this area. All scattered. Jian Wushuang thought to himself. On this seemingly endless plain, there were numerous warriors, but they were all scattered. Jian Wushuang's expression changed slightly. There was a token in his right hand that was emitting a unique power, but he didn't understand its purpose. What's the first round of the genius battle, and what are the rules? Jian Wushuang mumbled. Right at this moment. Listen. The middle-aged man's voice echoed clearly above the entire plain. In first round of the genius battle, what you need to do is to kill others. As for the rules that are used to judge if you can pass this round, I'm sorry to tell you there are no rules. All of you are scattered over the plain. What you need to do is try your best to kill all the people around you and display your strength. Easy. We will announce the result when the time is right. Hearing this, all the warriors from the ancient world were stunned. No judgment rules. They would display their strength and get the results at the end. It seemed strange to everyone except Jian Wushuang, who understood that having no rules was the rule. No one knew the judgment rules, so no one would be confident of the result. Everyone would be nervous, so they would try their best to kill their opponents and display their strength. Each of you has a token now. That is your safety token. When your life is threatened, it will defend you against the attack, but you will also be immediately banished from the battlefield and disqualified from the feast. That means you don't need to worry about your safety here. The middle-aged man's voice still echoed in the void. The people on the battlefield finally understood the purpose of the token. Now I declare that the first round of the Firmament Territory Feast has begun, the middle-aged man announced, and his voice gradually faded away. Abruptly, the plain erupted in riots. No rule, so it's based on your strength to kill as many people as possible. That means I have to kill others instead of hiding. The more people I kill, the greater strength I display. Then I will have a good chance to pass this round. Jian Wushuang squinted as his right hand slowly stretched towards his heart-killing sword. At the same time, he noticed there were more than 10 skyscraping realm warriors nearby. They were all observing this area with strong killing intents. Kill! Kill! After the 2 successive howls, one person made his move and triggered the rest to begin attacking. Without reason or logic, they tried their best to kill as many people as they could on the battlefield. Everyone on the battlefield was an enemy. The rampant killing broke out in the blink of an eye. Boom! 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 Powerful roars resounded through the void as killings took place all over the battlefield. Jian Wushuang was solemn. He glanced around him as he held his heart-killing sword. Go to hell! An aquamarine hair woman with a ferocious look popped up beside Jian Wushuang. Her soft sword swiftly cut towards his throat like a lightning flash. She had already comprehended Gale Dao, so its speed was extremely fast. Hum! Jian Wushuang snorted, then thrust his sword in her direction. His speed was at least several times faster than the woman's. It was also sneaky and full of killing intent. His attack was launched after the woman's, but it reached its destination earlier at the front of her throat. How is that possible? The aquamarine hair woman looked terrified. Her words died as Jian Wushuang's long sword cut her throat. Her token was broke and blocked Jian Wushuang's attack. It emitted a shining light covering the woman and sent her out of the battlefield. Outside the drill ground, the aquamarine hair woman appeared again. She looked around and smiled bitterly. My strength is ranked 3rd in the ancient world. I never expected to be defeated by my first opponent in the first round of the genius battle. As Jian Wushuang had killed the woman with only one attack, all attention on the battlefield was drawn to him. There are still 13 people around me. I need to kill all of them. His eyes turned cold and his figure swept out violently. Chapter 6:21 Killing with Abandon. Chapter 6:21 Killing with Abandon. When the first round of the genius battle began, rampant killing immediately broke out. Numerous people were gathered outside the battlefield. These people each had a jade slip and were quickly taking notes. In front of them, there was a huge screen which displayed thousands of small images. These images showed what the skyscraping realm experts in the ancient world were doing on the battlefield. This screen was called the mirror image. It was a unique technique that could be used to record any scene in any place. That meant that all the fighting taking place could be shown clearly in the mirror image. Number 69 image, the bald man with a battle axe. The voice was emotionless. Everyone turned their attention to the image. With his battle axe, a bald man cleaved 2 skyscraping realm who were attacking him. The 2 men died instantaneously. The axe did not lose its momentum as it continued its progress towards a majestic mountain and split it into 2 parts. He has comprehended the Earth Tao and created a higher level of advanced secret skill. Great comprehension. He passes the first round. Mark it immediately. Number 177 image, the burly middle-aged man in a thick armor. In the number 177 image, the man raised his sword-shaped eyebrows and stared at the 20 people in front of him. My name is Feng. In a cold voice, the man hacked with his saber. The saber produced a blade light that went unerringly to its target, like a rolling river. The blade light suffused the battlefield and immediately killed 4 skyscraping realm experts. The burly middle-aged man then flew through the battlefield and killed the remaining 2 people within 2 breaths. Genius Feng has already comprehended the destruction Tao. It also seems that he has totally figured out the first occult and created the higher level of the advanced secret skill. He is qualified to enter the second round. Mark it. Number 19 image, the black-robed youth with a long sword. Instantly, all people focused on the number 19 image and saw Jian Wushuang. Swoosh, 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 Swoosh! With terrifying killing intent, the sword light rushed forward and killed 13 skyscraping realm experts in a couple minutes. Good comprehension of the slaughtered Dao and his swordsmanship is extremely strong. So far we don't know which level of the secret skill he has created, so he will be confirmed later. The cold voice spoke without pause, and his pronouncements were all continuously recorded in the jade slip. Thousands of fights were occurring simultaneously on the vast battlefield, all of which could be observed using the mirror image. When any expert displayed an amazing strength, the action would be immediately recorded, and he would be judged for second round qualification. The fights in the battlefield for geniuses in the eternal world were recorded too. As long as the warriors displayed impressive strength on the battlefield, they wouldn't be ignored. Swoosh! A figure rushed through the crowd with a sword light suffused with terrifying killing intent. This sword light with tremendous power easily outclassed 3 skyscraping realm experts. It killed them instantly and sent them out of the battlefield. So strong! There were still 4 people nearby, and they all looked at the black-robed youth in terror. The black-robed youth was Jian Wushuang. After 3 years of earnest cultivation, Jian Wushuang had significantly improved his strength. His comprehension of Dao and secret skill were both much better than an ordinary skyscraping realm. Even Dark Emperor and Wu Exan would be easily killed by him. He would only need to use Slaughter Body to defeat these skyscraping realm who hadn't created any secret skills. Few people would catch Jian Wushuang's attention, and he would dispatch the rest with ease. It was very difficult for him to meet an expert whose strength was comparable to his. That was why he could easily kill all his opponents here. Go to hell! Once again, Jian Wushuang started the attack and immediately sent another 4 people out of the battlefield. Continue the killing. Jian Wushuang looked grave as he continued to fight. On the battlefield, the killing continued at increasing levels of aggression. Everyone knew that passing the first round depended on their strength. Since they all had tokens to protect themselves, no one was worried about dying and went all out to kill their opponents. Soon, 3 days had passed. During this time, most of the skyscraping realm had been weeded out. Only a few people remained on the battlefield. There was no doubt that survivors, after the 3 days, were the real experts. All of them possessed a good comprehension of Dao, and almost everyone had created their own secret skill. They were really much stronger than the ordinary skyscraping realm experts. On the plain, Jian Wushuang slowly walked forward and glanced around him. Occasionally, he would see an opponent and kill him immediately. In these 3 days, strong experts had emerged and were now recognized by others on the battlefield. Jian Wushuang's battle strength was at the top, so it was reasonable to rank him in the top 30. Many people would know of his reputation and chose to run when they saw him. Already 3 days, when on Earth will the first round will be over? Jian Wushuang thought to himself. The first round had no rules, so they had to keep killing their opponents, but he didn't know when it would be over. Jian Wushuang suddenly stopped and raised his head. A red-robed woman had flown from the hill in front of him and was slowly walking towards him. She held a scarlet scythe and was filled with killing intent. She looked at him with a hint of excitement. Chapter 6:22 Xuefeng. Chapter 6:22 Xuefeng. You are Sword Emperor. The red-robed woman, standing in front of Jian Wushuang, asked in a voice tinged with excitement. Lady Red, the Scarlet Scythe, you are Xuefeng. Jian Wushuang stared back at the red-robed woman. After 3 days of frenzied killing, strong experts had risen to fame. Everyone now knew Jian Wushuang as Sword Emperor. His strength was acknowledged on this battlefield, and he was ranked in the top 30. Xuefeng had also become an expert during the 3 days. She had comprehended the raging fire Dao, and her strength was extremely terrifying. She had killed at least hundreds of skyscraping realm and was ranked in the top 30. These 3 days, I've killed more than 300 skyscraping realm, but their strength was mediocre, so I could beat them easily. But now, meeting you, finally, Xue Feng licked her lips and said, "Hope you are good enough to challenge me." "I feel the same." Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, his eyes reflecting his strong battle intent. He had also killed numerous skyscraping realm in the last 3 days, but no one had caught his attention. Now, he had finally met a decent opponent. Deep down, Jian Wushuang was full of anticipation for the fight. "Let's start." Xue Feng blinked and transformed into a blood shadow which flew through the void. Her speed was so fast that ordinary skyscraping realm experts would only see a shadow. The blood shadow suddenly popped up in front of Jian Wushuang, and the scarlet scythe hacked towards him. The scarlet scythe looked like a beautiful scarlet moon as it split the void and rushed towards Jian Wushuang. The tremendous power compressed the air and produced successive explosions. So powerful! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Although he hadn't fought against the scarlet scythe, he could sense its great power based on this attack. Fortunately, they were in the eternal world. If this had happened in the ancient world, the scarlet scythe would have split the void into 2 parts. Jian Wushuang proceeded with caution. His killing intent surged, and his heart-killing sword was shaken because it sensed a strong opponent nearby. Jian Wushuang started his first attack. His sword impaled the void. Boom! An immaterial wave spread out. The first level of the advanced secret skill, heaven-breaking technique. Jian Wushuang's world body had been cultivated in the world prison with the support of Emperor Shao for 3 years. At the same time, with the guidance of Di Jing, his slaughter body had fought with thousands of crazy demons in the slaughter zone. During those fights, his comprehension of slaughter, Dao, had improved significantly, and he had created his own secret skill. The heaven-breaking technique, which was created by his slaughter body, had already reached the first advanced level. Pum! A loud bang made the battlefield tremble. Whoosh! Whoosh! Jian Wushuang and Xue Feng were forced to retreat because of the explosion. None of them had an advantage in this round. The Sword Principle Manual is great. Obviously, your comprehension of the slaughter Dao is not as good as mine, but the power of the secret skill that you have created is stronger than mine. Xue Feng stared at Jian Wushuang with a hint of respect. "Sword Emperor, you are the only skyscraping realm expert who has managed to withstand my previous attack in these 3 days. Now, I will try my best to fight." Hearing this, Jian Wushuang sneered, but deep down he thought, "Xue Feng is indeed strong, but her strength is still not good enough to let my world body join the fight. I can beat her with my slaughter body." Jian Wushuang's 2 original bodies. The slaughter body was weaker than the world body. Since the start of the first round, he had only fought with his slaughter body. Even for this encounter with Xue Feng, he didn't plan to use his world body. "Let's fight." Jian Wushuang and Xue Feng resumed their fierce fight. Swish! 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 The 2 figures both transformed into shadows. They flew through the void with ease at extreme speeds. Then they exchanged blows. Xue Feng's scarlet scythe transformed to 3 blood shadows and hacked towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang easily dodged the attack and then swept his sword light outwards with powerful killing intent. As they fought, hundreds of huge holes appeared in the ground. The loud noises from the fight also drew the attention of experts nearby, but they did not dare to approach closer to watch. Sword Emperor and Xue Feng. The 2 of them are fighting now. Both of their battle strengths are ranked in the top 30, so they can easily pass the first round. It's not necessary for them to fight now. Maybe they have been unbeatable in the ancient world for a long time, so they are eager to have a fierce fight when they meet a worthy opponent. Many experts were discussing among themselves. At this moment, in front of the numerous mirror images outside the battlefield. Number 315 image, Sword Emperor, and Xue Feng are fighting. Both of them can enter the second round. They are definitely the top ancient world warriors this time. Since they are fighting now, record the mirror image carefully, don't miss any details. The cold voice issued the command, and the fight was completely recorded by the mirror image. On the battlefield, the two experts were still fighting to death, and both were evenly matched. I've exploited the Tao comprehension well, but I still can't defeat him or even take any advantage. Xue Feng frowned. Jian Wushuang had a cold expression on his face as he thought. Xue Feng is much stronger than all the other skyscraping realm experts I have met. If I want to defeat her with my slaughter body, I should either use the spiritual power or physical power, which are much stronger than the average level, or I need to use that trick. Jian Wushuang pondered over his options. He had cultivated the heavenly creation skill, so he had a perfect foundation which made his spiritual power and physical power much stronger than the ordinary skyscraping realm. This was his biggest advantage. However, Emperor Xiao had cautioned him against showing his perfect foundation, so he couldn't really use it. Chapter 6:23 I'm Feng. Chapter 6:23 I'm Feng. Since I can't expose my flawless foundation to them, I'll have to use something else. Jian Wushuang made up his mind. However, before he could make that move, a deep voice interrupted his plan. The both of you not bad. A man's voice echoed throughout the area with a suppressing force, which drew the attention of the two people who were fighting as well as the skyscraping realm experts hidden in the surroundings. Looking towards the voice, they saw a man clothed in a heavy armor walking towards them with a saber in his hand. The man was strong-built and in his middle years. As he drew near, the experts could feel the suppressing force that surrounded them become stronger. When the man finally stopped walking, he looked toward Jian Wushuang and Xue Feng with battle intent in his eyes, while loudly saying, I'm Feng. Feng. The name caused the hidden experts to change their looks. Xue Feng also showed a grave expression upon hearing this name. As for Jian Wushuang, he only looked slightly serious at that moment. During the last 3 days on the battlefield, they had heard many famous names, most of which were of the top 30 experts, but none had frightened them so much as Feng had. It was all because many skyscraping realm experts had died in this person's hand, including some people as powerful as Xue Feng. Even more terrifying, those poor guys had been killed in a single strike before they could even struggle. In light of this, Feng was considered as one of the top 3 experts among everyone who was still on the battlefield. 2 days ago, when I first heard this name, I thought I would meet him in the second round, but it looks like he came sooner than I expected. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly at Feng, not frightened at all. He was not as famous as Feng, but that did not mean that he was weaker. After all, he had not used his full power yet. Sword Emperor, Xue Feng. Feng called their names while looking at them. You two are powerful, so you qualify to be my opponents. Now accept my blow. After saying this, Feng swung his saber at Jian Wushuang and Xue Feng. Looking at this move, Jian Wushuang could tell the man had reached an extremely high level in the Destruction Tao and had comprehended all the key points at his current level. Besides the move, Feng also displayed a powerful secret skill. His saber surged toward its target like a rolling river. However, the target was only Xue Feng. Xue Feng had a grave expression while facing this blow. Without hesitation, she met the saber with her scarlet scythe and all her Tao power. When the two weapons collided together, the saber overpowered the scythe and cut through Xue Feng's body in an instant, while she stared ahead in amazement. Wang! A dazzling light flashed out of the drill ground. It was Xue Feng being sent out of the battlefield. How is this possible? He defeated me with a single strike. Am I really so powerless when compared with him? She stood there quietly, her eyes filled with disbelief. She had been confident in her power before this, so it never occurred to her that she would lose to someone at the same level as her in one strike. The only reason had to be that Feng was just too strong. His power lives up to his fame. He should be ranked number 1 among us. She sighed, staring at the wormhole in front of her. Since he's not any stronger than me, Sword Emperor will be defeated by Feng with one strike as well. With this thought, she waited for Jian Wushuang to exit the battlefield and appear here as well. The hidden skyscraping realm experts were still in shock after seeing Xue Feng's failure. Even Jian Wushuang couldn't help narrowing his eyes. "It's your turn." Feng turned towards Jian Wushuang and launched a ruthless attack. It was a blow as powerful as the previous one. The hidden experts started to take pity on Jian Wushuang because they thought that he could not survive it. They believed that Jian Wushuang was at the same level as Xue Feng. When he saw the move coming towards him, Jian Wushuang took action as well. He decided to continue relying solely on his slaughter body. The heart-killing sword quivered along with his surging, killing intent. Cataclysm skill. As Jian Wushuang growled, killing intent began to radiate from him. Buzz. The moment he displayed this skill, the whole area became dark. Only his sword shone brightly in the darkness. Boom! With a fierce sound of metal on metal, a blast wave surged out towards the surroundings. Jian Wushuang was thrown back hundreds of meters like a cannonball. Meanwhile, Feng was only forced to take one step backwards. However, it still surprised him. The scene rocked all the hidden experts, so they started talking about it. Jian Wushuang is alive. He didn't get killed, and he even forced Feng to retreat a step. It was a brilliant move. The experts who were responsible for recording the battle results witnessed the fight through the mirror image. Superior secret skill of the first level. The skill Jian Wushuang displayed is of the first level. Write it down now. Jian Wushuang has survived Feng's attack with his superior secret skill. He even forced Feng to take a step backwards. Therefore, he is qualified for the second round and even the third round of the following battle. Chapter 624, Round 1 over. Chapter 624, Round 1 over. Jian Wushuang and Feng stood in the air, hundreds of feet apart. When Feng sensed Jian Wushuang's aura and realized it was as powerful as before, he frowned and said, "You're the first person who managed to take my blow on this battlefield. You're much more powerful than any of my previous opponents." "How flattering. You're quite powerful as well." Jian Wushuang praised him from the bottom of his heart. He was not sure if he could beat Feng, even with his world body. "With your current power, you can make it to the end of this round. I expect to meet you in round 2, Feng added. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows when he heard those words. He doesn't want to fight me now. After all, it was just the first round of genius battle in the ancient world. Therefore, they did not have to battle each other at that moment. I expect to see you in the following rounds as well. Jian Wushuang's eyes sparkled with battle intent. Feng shot him a serious glance and nodded at him before leaving. After Feng left, the hidden experts were in a sudden uproar. This battle would bring Jian Wushuang's name to every corner of the battlefield as a person who had been able to push Feng back. In the next few days, the battle continued in a less fierce way since there were fewer people still fighting on the battlefield. After the battles with Xue Feng and Feng, Jian Wushuang encountered another expert ranked within the top 30. This opponent was even stronger than Xue Feng, but Jian Wushuang still killed him with his superior secret skill, Cataclysm skill. As time went by, the 5th day finally arrived, signaling the end of the first round of the genius battle. Boom! A mighty power swept over the whole battlefield and caused everyone there to cease what they were doing. The very next moment, they saw their token explode in a flash of light and they were brought back to the drill ground. All the warriors from the ancient world had been gathered there again. The whole area was clamorous as the experts looked towards the people who had performed well during the battle. "Look, he is Feng. He is a frightening guy. I heard that he killed countless opponents during the last 5 days, including some of the people in the top 30, with only a single strike. Very few managed to take his blow. This guy is terrifying. The man there is Huiying, and he's as famous as Feng. It's impossible to tell who is more powerful between the two unless they battle each other. That guy is Xianing. He has battled Huiying. Can you see that black-robed youth with a sword on his back? He is Sword Emperor, one of those who managed to survive Feng's attack. He might not be a match for Feng and Huiying, but he is not weak at all." Quite a lot of people were discussing the results with each other. They had talked very little at the beginning, when everyone had yet to show their power, but now, after the first round, they had enough information to have discussions about the powerful experts. On the other side of the drill ground, the geniuses from the eternal world were talking to each other as well. "I really want to know whether we have made it to round 2 or not." The results were a worrisome issue to most of them except for those who had absolute confidence in themselves, such as Jian Wushuang, Feng, and Huiying. Everyone waited in silence. By the time the elders finished calculating all the results, a half-hour had passed, and the list of those who could get into the next round was decided. "Here are the details on the first round of the genius battle. Send it to all the sects right now," the leader of the elders ordered. "Understood." Someone went to send the files. Not many sects currently had their men watching the battle in Firmament Territory Feast. They did not care about the results of the first round because it would not be enough to determine who the most excellent talents were. That's why the elders had to send the results to them. However, when it came to the second round, the sects would be more concerned. "The list of the winners of the first round is settled. Go announce it." Immediately, a white-robed man took the list to the drill ground and handed it to the host of the battle. After a careful glance, the host nodded and went to the drill ground where the geniuses from the eternal world were. "We're ready to announce the names of those who make it to the second round. I'll read them to you one by one." The host started to read the names on the list before the warriors could react. Gu Qing, Mu Zhan, Ouyang Xian, Ling Hu. Those whose names were called all beamed with joy, while the others remained anxious. The host read out 900 names without pausing. The above 900 people are eligible for the second round of the genius battle. As for the rest of you, you all failed, the host said indifferently. Feelings of happiness and sadness encompassed the area. Chapter 6:25 Unfair? Chapter 6:25 Unfair. A little later, the host appeared at the drill ground on the other side, where the warriors from the ancient world were gathered. Just as before, he started reading the names on the list. Feng. The first name he read out was Feng. No one felt surprised by that because Feng had demonstrated his incredible power in the first round and was regarded as the number 1 expert among them. Huiying, Longing, Bingshan. Those names echoed loudly throughout the area. Jian Wushuang was the 13th one to be called. He slightly smiled among the crowd, but he was not surprised. Even though he had not used his world body even once during the last 5 days, only relying on his slaughter body, he could easily rank within the top 20 among all the competitors. Therefore, he was confident in his results. He Xian, Dongfang Lingyue, Shuefeng. The red-robed woman, Shuefeng, let out a sigh of relief after hearing her name. She had been worried about the result because Feng had defeated her in the first half of the first round. However, it turned out that anyone who demonstrated their talent and power would get into round 2. I can't believe Sword Emperor made it to the end of the first round. She could not help glancing at Jian Wushuang with an odd look. Back when she was locked in battle with him, Feng approached them and defeated her, throwing her out the battlefield with one strike. She had thought that Jian Wushuang would suffer the same result as her, but she was wrong. Jian Wushuang had not been sent out of the battlefield, no matter how long she stood there waiting. Could it be that Jian Wushuang was hiding his power when he fought against me? Xue Feng thought to herself. Up in the air, the host suddenly paused after announcing 100 names. What's the matter? Why did he stop reading? What's going on? The warriors all looked confused. Then they heard an icy voice say, the above 100 people can participate in the second round. Everyone else has been eliminated. Those words dumbfounded the warriors. What? Is that it? Only those 100 people made it to the second round. No, it's not fair. Someone roared. How could it just be 100 people? In fact, those who had made it to the next round looked surprised as well. They could not believe that among the 100,000 participants, only such a small number of them managed to pass the first round, while the other side of the battlefield had 900 people out of 10,000 from the eternal world that could enter the second round. There was a huge difference between the two numbers. It's not fair. Why are there only 100 of us allowed in the second round while 900 passed? The number of our participants was 10 times larger than theirs. They showed more favor to those from the eternal worlds. I don't believe I'm weaker than the talents from the eternal world. Why are they allowed in the second round, but I'm not? Just because I'm from the ancient world? I can't accept this. Roars kept resounding from the drill ground. There were many who had confidence in their power, but they were not on the list, so they were unconvinced. Humph! The host snorted and looked down at the warriors and used his aura to suppress the whole area. The aura was 100 times more powerful than the one Jian Wushuang had felt from Shuiyang. Everyone became quiet while facing this pressure. Some of the rebellious ones were even forced down on their knees by the pressure. I told you that everyone is equal in Firmament Territory Feast. Only your talent and power can determine your fate. Those who failed in the first round failed because you lack power. The voice of the host was heard again. As for whether it's fair or not, the weak have no right to judge that, the host continued firmly. He waved his hand and added, as I said previously, the people on the list can stay. As for the others, your time in Firmament Territory Feast is over. You can choose to leave here on your own in a half hour or be killed. Those words caused the place to be shrouded in a gloomy atmosphere. The warriors who failed in the first round had to leave hopelessly, no matter how unwilling they were. They dared not challenge the host, nor the sects behind him. Sword Emperor, congratulations! Jian Wushuang, among us three, only you made it to the second round. Remember to win some fame for our ancient world. Wu Xian and Ming Lu looked at Jian Wushuang with envy. The two had tried their best to fight, but they were too weak and failed to earn themselves a place on the list. You too, please take care of yourselves. Jian Wushuang shook his head while watching their backs. He could do nothing about their results. He knew very well that, due to their weak power, no sect would offer them an olive branch, so leaving here was the best choice for them, as it would be too dangerous to adventure in the eternal world. Lots of warriors left while grumbling about it. Jian Wushuang shook his head at them in secret. Is this really not fair? Is it? He could not help looking toward the drill ground where the geniuses from Eternal World were. Chapter 6:26 The Three Magnates. Chapter 6:26 The Three Magnates. Tens of thousands of people from our ancient world participated in the battle, many more than that of the eternal world. Nevertheless, our overall level of power is less than theirs. They possess superior resources for cultivation, so they have a great advantage over us, allowing them to gain more power. The 900 winners of the first round are the top talents among them, and it's true that only 100 of us could be their match. Jian Wushuang sighed in private. The host was right, it's a fair battle. In less than half an hour, all those who failed the first round had left. The number of those who remained in the two drill grounds amounted to about 1,000. They stood on two opposing sides, the people from the eternal world on one side, while those from the ancient world were on the other side. However, the next round would be different from the first round because they would encounter opponents from both sides. Listen. The host spoke again. All of you are definitely geniuses of the firmament territory since you have survived the first round. But the second round will take place in 10 days. Please prepare yourselves. In 10 days. The geniuses were surprised. I'll give you the information on all the sects in the firmament territory so you can consider which one you want to join while you are preparing for the following battles. Of course, you should know that your performance in the upcoming battles will decide whether you can achieve your wish or not. So, geniuses, show your power as much as you can, and it may result in you receiving an invitation from the sections. An intense discussion immediately broke out among the geniuses when the words fell. Sword Emperor. Xue Feng walked over to Jian Wushuang. Xue Feng. Jian Wushuang gave her a smile. I heard that you managed to survive Feng's attack, Xue Feng said with a strange expression. I was just lucky, Jian Wushuang replied. I don't think it's luck that you created a superior secret skill. Xue Feng curled her lip and continued, It looks like I have to watch my back if I meet you in the future rounds. Well, Jian Wushuang forced a smile. Right then, both Jian Wushuang and Xue Feng felt several disdainful eyes fall on them. Those guys. Xue Feng gritted her teeth and looked toward the geniuses of the eternal world. That was where she felt the stares coming from. They are really arrogant. How annoying. She growled. Yes, they look down on us from the bottom of their hearts, since they have more advantages than us. Jian Wushuang echoed her thoughts while frowning. But we have to admit that they are more powerful than us. Even Feng, the strongest one among us, is probably no match for the top 10 experts among them, Xue Feng said dejectedly. Her conclusion made Jian Wushuang narrow his eyes. He had learned of Feng's incredible power, so it was really astonishing to know that Feng, who had defeated Xue Feng with one attack, could not make it into the top 10. Maybe it's true. Jian Wushuang sighed in secret. While the geniuses were chatting with each other, someone came and handed them a file containing detailed information on all the sections. The geniuses immediately started reading through the information as soon as they received it. After all, the 100 geniuses from the ancient world knew very little about the eternal world and the sects, so they read the files with their full attention. Jian Wushuang was no exception. The firmament territory covers a large area in the eternal world, and it's home to numerous sects and forces, both strong and weak ones. Among the forces there are 3 magnates: Cloud Sea Asgard, the Immortal Dynasty, and the Boundless Demon Sect. Those 3 sects possess the best resources and have the most disciples in the firmament territory. Men of talent appear there in large numbers with every generation. In short, they are the most powerful sects in the whole territory. As the geniuses were reading, the descriptions about the 3 magnates caused their eyes to light up. They knew that the stronger a sect was, the more resources it could provide them. All they wanted from the firmament territory feast was to join a powerful sect, so it was obvious that the 3 magnates would be their best choices. However, the strong sects always had a higher standard for their disciples. Normal geniuses would never enter their eyes. Only the truly exceptional ones could win their favor, like the top 10 geniuses. It's too hard for me to reach the standards of the 3 magnates. I should just give up. As for what has been written in the file, only the very best will be accepted as inner disciples. Even becoming an outer disciple requires one to enter the top 50. Obviously, I'm far from their requirements. Take it easy. There are other sects besides the 3 magnates. We may still have some hope. The drill ground was abuzz with discussion. After carefully reading through the information of the magnates, Jian Wushuang turned to the 9 other top sections. Those sects might not be as powerful as the magnates, but they still possess a certain level of strength. The best of them was a sect called the Ancient Sect.